Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. Wowza. Hi, Rigby. How's it going? Lisa smiles a lot. Hi, Rigby. Hi, Lisa. How are you guys? Hey, Richard. Richard says good morning. Rigby says good morning. West Country says good morning. West Country. I need to get over to your channel. I keep telling myself. And then I forget. When I'm off of here, I forget. Hi, 905. Yvonne's here. Yvonne, West Country. Richard. West Country says hi, everyone. Mrs. Good morning, Rigby. Monkey Rules. Hey, buddy. Hi, Daisy May. Hi, Monkey Rules. Min says good morning to Lisa. West Country says hi, Nana. Hey, Peter Pan. Good morning, Peter Pan. Afternoon. Good afternoon for all you guys in the UK. Welcome, you guys. Mint Chocolate Chip says hey, West Country. Rigby says good morning to Richard. West Country says hey there, Richard. Magnetic North. Lee, I thought you weren't going to be on today because of data. Hi, Lee. How are you, buddy? Lee, I'm so sorry I missed your premieres, but I watched them both, and they were awesome. Very, very good. Richard says morning to Nana of 5. Lee says, hey, morning, Rigby. Lisa says, good morning to Rigby. Magnetic North says, good morning, Daisy. Hi, Lee. How are you, buddy? West Country says, hi, Lee. Mint says, hey, Monkey Man. Is it Monkey Run? I think it's Monkey Run. Brylon Farm, hi. Stacy's here. Everybody say hi to Brylon Farm. Stacy, I have your stream running in the bedroom, and the cat's watching it. I took a picture of it. I'm going to put it on my photo drop, so you'll see that. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Yvonne says hi, West Country. Magnetic North says hi, Lisa. Mint Chocolate Chip says hey, Peter Pan. West Country says bless you, Dave. No, bless you. You're always here supporting. And I need to get to your channel every day, just like you do. Lisa says hi, Brylon Farm. Lisa says hi, Nana. West Country says hi, Lisa. Sonal. Hi, Sonal, buddy. How are you? Oh, good morning, Sonal. And Chocolate Chip Ball says afternoon to Lee. Yeah, afternoon to the UK peeps. Lisa says hi, Mint. Magnetic says hi, Peter. Brylon Farm waves hi, Stacy. Yvonne says hi, Brylon Farm. Mint Chocolate Chip says good morning, Brylon. Here's some coffee. Magnetic North says hello, Sonal. Uncle Hairball, hey, buddy. He says morning, everybody. Good morning, Uncle Hairball. Good morning. I know how you are. I hope maybe you rest. Take it easy. Maybe just lay around. Maybe you'll nap. I know you don't want to nap, but maybe you should. I don't know. Sonal says good morning. Hey, Sonal. West Country says hey, Sonal. Mint Chocolate Chip also says hi, Sonal. Magnetic North says hi, Uncle. Sonal says good morning to Lee. Mint Chocolate Chip says good morning to Uncle Hairball. Handmade Homegrown's here. Hi, Handmade Homegrown. How are you? Hello, Handmade and Toolman. She says good morning, happy Tuesday, everyone. Yeah, good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. West Country says, hey, Uncle Hairball. Lee says, I'm gonna let it burn out to be here. Well, oh, you're so nice. Thank you, Lee. Everybody, Magnetic North Adventures is getting very close on hours. If you can watch a playlist, watch a live stream, plays videos, Magnetic North Adventures. Please play him, you guys. All right. Lisa says, good morning to all. Good morning, Lisa. Beautiful Lisa. Someone says, good morning, Uncle Hairball. West Country says, hello, handmade, homegrown. Elise says, hi, Monkey Run. Someone says, good morning to Stacy. Ryan's here. Hi, Ryan. Ryan says, good morning. Good morning, Ryan. How are you today? Lisa says, hi to handmade, homegrown. And she says, good morning, West Country. Tina, the Phantom Lucina's here. Hi, Tina. How are you, Tina? Good to see ya. Brylon Farm says, oh, cute. Thank you so much. Oh, it's so beautiful with that tree right now. Oh, my goodness. Hi, Daisy. Daisy just came out. Uncle Hairball says, hi to everybody. And Chocolate Chip says, good morning to Ryan. Lee says, hi, Tina. Someone says, my friend, dog watches the news. Right? I used to leave the TV on for Betsy when I used to go to... Lee says, hi, Ryan. Monkey Run says, hi, Sonal. Mint Chocolate Chip Boss says, good morning to Handmade. Sonal says, I'm doing well. Good. Did you sleep good? Everybody have a good night's sleep except Uncle Hairball? Uncle Hairball did not have a good night's sleep. He did not. Mint says hi, Tina. Handmaid says hello, good to see you, Magnetic North Adventures. Someone says good morning, Monkey Run. Mint Chocolate Chips has shared you on my community page. Thank you. Oh, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls, thank you. That's so kind of you. Peter Pan says hi to Lisa. Rigby says, I have to go. Bye. Just stopping in or say hi. Make sure to join Miss Daisy's Discord today. Oh, yes, join the Discord. Thank you, Rigby Collie. You have a great day, okay? Thank you for stopping in even quickly. I appreciate that so much. Blessed Mama's here. Hello, Blessed Mama. How are you? Hello, beautiful Blessed Mama. She says, good morning, everyone. Everyone say good morning to her. Monkey Run says, hi, Uncle Hairball. Sona says, good morning, Tina. And good morning to Mint. Carla. Hello, Carla. Love Day. What a beautiful name. First of all, Carla's a beautiful name. And Love Day, well, that's a beautiful name, too. She says, wow, beautiful place. Well, thank you, Carla. Thank you for stopping in and saying hello to us. Lisa says, good morning to Soul Sunshine. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, morning, Blessed Mama. West Country says, hello to Carla Love Day. Uncle Hairball says, I have so much to do, though, and nobody to help me. I get it. So much to do, right? I totally understand. Just try to take it easy, though. You know what? Because whatever you have to do will still be there after you get some sleep. It's not going anywhere. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, welcome in, Carla. Torpedo Heat's here. Hey, Torpedo Heat. He says, Daisy May, good morning. Good morning, Torpedo Heat. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Lee says, Daisy, I created an ultimate playlist, 450 full-length videos. Oh, great. That's great. Everybody, check out that playlist. It's 450 full-length videos. You could play it in sections. You could play a couple hours. You could play it 15 minutes. You could let it run all day, all night. Any amount of watch time that you could help, please help Magnetic North Adventures. That's great, Lee. Thank you. Ryan says, good morning, Blessed Mama. Blessed Mama says, hey, Mint Chocolate. West Country says, hi, Torpedo Heat. As does Mint Chocolate Chip Ball say, hi, Torpedo Heat. Blessed Mama says, hey, Ryan. Lee says, hi, Carla. Torpedo Heat says, hey, West Country. Magnetic North says, hi, Blessed. West Country says, hi, Ryan. Monkey Rule says, can anyone put their channel links up, please, so I can sub? Monkey Rules, hold on one second. You can do it now, my friend. Monkey Rules, do not abuse the power. Soul says, good morning, Handmaid Lisa Ryan. West Country says, got you on now, Magnetic North. Thank you, West Country. Thank you for running West Country, running Magnetic North. Thank you. Shirley's here. Hi, Shirley. Daisy, I just like you so much I had to drop. Oh, I'm so glad you did, Shirley. Welcome. Breakfast time for my son. See you later. Okay. Enjoy breakfast. Oh, Shirley, thank you for stopping in. I used to have an aunt named Shirley. She's, moved on to another life. But I had an aunt Shirley. Welcome, Shirley. Thank you. Peter Pan said, is today going to be hot again? Isn't it always hot in Florida? A lot of the country is hotter than we are today. Yesterday we had a high of 88. But if you talk to a lot of the people around on the stream, they were in the 90s, even the hundreds. Lee says, thanks to West Country. And hi, Shirley. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, good morning, Shirley. Someone says, good morning, Peter Pan. West Country says, hey, Peter Pan. Peter Pan says, West Country Mothers, hello. Handmaid says, good morning to Lisa, smiles a lot. Torpedo, he says, hey, Hairball, hey, Sonal. Sonal says, I slept really good. You did? That's fantastic. Awesome. Torpedo Heat says, hi, Mint. Mint says, you're welcome. Ryan says, I slept good too. Awesome. Handmaid says, hello, Mint Chocolate Chip Ball. Somo says, hello, Torpedo Heat. Uncle Hairball says, hey, Torpedo Heat. Lee dropped his link. Thank you, Lee. And he also says hi to Heat. Somo says, hello, Rigby. Brylon Farms is opening a tab for you now, Magnetic North. Brylon Farm, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love how much you guys chip in to help everybody. It's just amazing. Torpedo, he says, Daisy, when will my order be ready? About 6 o'clock tonight. 6 p.m. And I actually am making tacos. Elisa, oh, beautiful day, where are you at? This is Florida in the United States. Where are you at? Welcome, Elisa. This is Florida in the United States. Uncle Hairball says, are we doing links? Yes, go right ahead. Yes, yes, yes. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, hello, Lisa. Hope you're having a good morning. Someone says, hello, Carla, Love Day, and Lisa Mark, Mark, Mark Hart. Mark Hart. Torpedo Hate says, hi, Magnetic. Brylon Farms is Magnetic North. I go to the playlist and get a message that it premieres in 8 days. Once I went into the playlist and selected the second video, it worked. May want to check it out. Yeah, Lee, maybe take a look at that, what Stacy's telling you there. Maybe take the premiere out of there. Lucy Warren's World here. Hi, Lucy. Lucy Warren. World. Lucy Warren's World. Hi, Lucy. Welcome, young lady. Everyone say hi to Lucy. Sonal says hello, West Country. Mint Chocolate Chip says good morning to Lucy Warren's World. Sonal says good morning, Lucy and Shirley. Jen Jen. Hi, Jen Jen. I know you. She says good morning, Miss Daisy in chat. Hi, Jen Jen. Welcome, welcome. Mint Chocolate Chip also said, hey, Jen Jen. Sonal says good morning, Jen Jen. Ryan dropped a link for Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Matthew Fields is heat. He said heat equals death. Have to be careful in the heat, everybody. Hi, Matthew. How are you today? Welcome. Monkey Rule says, thanks, Daisy. I'm subbing now, people. Good, Monkey. Sorry about that. You know what? Sometimes the person reading the chats or doing the live doesn't even realize that some people have the blue and some people don't. We're so busy just trying to read it. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry about that. Monkey Run. Jen Jen says, hi, Sonal. Sonal dropped a link for himself. First Sonal, great. Sonal, thank you. Jen Jen says, hi, Matthew. Good morning. Matthew says, hi, Jen Jen. Blessed Mama says, hi, Jen Jen. Jen Jen says, hi, back to her. Magnetic North says, hi, Jen Jen. Sonal says, Stacy played your playlist. Thank you, Sonal. Sonal, yeah, he was playing your playlist for a couple days. Uncle Hairball says, Lee, Magnetic North got a playlist going. Thank you, Hairball. Thank you, Uncle. Peter Pan says, so which tea are we drinking? Could we have a cup, please? Yes, let me grab my tea. All right, this is the same tea. It's green tea. Cheers, guys. Cheers to you guys. Sonal says he finished Brylon Farm. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonal. Lee says, thanks, Brylon Farm, and thanks, Uncle. Handmaid says, hello, Jen Jen. Welcome. Jen Jen says, hope everyone stays cool today. Yes, everybody. Stay cool. Stay cool as much as you can. Drink water. Drink water. Drink fluids. Drink, drink, drink. And preferably not alcohol. Or really caffeine, but whatever makes you drink, drink it, okay? Jen Jen says, excuse me. Hope everyone stays cool today. Yes, indeed. Matthew says, my watch hours are now 13:45. Is that good, Matthew? Awesome. Matthew's growing too. Mint Chocolate Daisy May told me also, you're in Manchester, Monkey Man. Yep, Manchester. Uncle Hairball drops the link. Thank you, Uncle Hairball. Lee says hi to Matthew. Min says hi. Good morning, Matthew. Matthew says my sub count is 1453. Awesome, Matthew. See, you're growing. Little by little, you get bigger and bigger. Magnetic North says, okay. Uncle Hairball says, no problem. Magnetic North, Ryan says, I put my channel in the chat. Thank you, Ryan. Lee says, hi, Lucy. Lucy, how are you, girl? Richard says, that's awesome, Matthew. Yes, Matthew, that's great. West Country says, hi, Matthew. West Country says, hi, Lucy Warren's World. Matthew says, hi, everyone. Sonal says, I'm gaining subs when I do vertical streams. I got 1 sub yesterday. Excuse me. That's awesome, Sonal. Everybody check out my friend Sonal's All About Freedom. Check out his channel. Like and subscribe. Maybe become a member, right? The Alchemist, yo, what's up? Hi, the Alchemist, welcome. You're gaining, yeah, that's awesome, Sonal. Mint Chocolate Chip says, hello, Alchemist. West Country says, hi, Jen Jen. Brylon Farm says, thank you, Sonal. I was wondering where the jump came from. Yeah, he did, I did. I ran you like a whole day and a half. And Stacy, whenever I have a few minutes free, I always throw your stream on, even for a few minutes, because all those few minutes do add up. Sorry about that. Min says, I gained over 50 subs this week alone. Awesome. Yeah, everyone's helping everybody. I love that. Brian Farm says, I just checked on Mike the Bike. He hit his 1,000. Oh, that's so great. Thank you, Stacy. Let's pin that up. That's so awesome. All right. Lisa's using emojis. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, goodness. Where am I? Okay. Someone says, you're welcome, Stacy. West Country says, well done, Mint. Jen says, hi, West Country. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Mint says, thanks, West Country. Sonal says, congratulations to Mike. Ryan says, I have 290 subs. Awesome, Ryan. You're getting there, too. Jen says, hi, handmade, homegrown. Nobody really's here. Nobody really. Who's really somebody? Hi, nobody really. How are ya? My Jen. Okay. I will. Thank you. Thank you, nobody really. Thank you. Mint says, I'm on chai this morning. Oh, the tea? Awesome. Enjoy. Jen says, hi, nobody. Mint says, hey, nobody. Handmaid says, hello, Stacy, Bryland Farm. Sonal says, hello, nobody really. Vacation Family's here. Hi, Vacation Family. Vacation Family says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vacation Family. Welcome, welcome to Florida. Monkey Run says, sub to all now people. Thanks, Daisy. You're welcome, Monkey Run. You're welcome. Richard says, woohoo, Ryan. Lisa's giving coffee for everybody and tea. Thank you, Lisa. That's so sweet. Blessed Mama says, hi, Vacation. Adrian's here. Adrian. Hi, Adrian. He says, hi, Miss Daisy. How are you, Adrian? Welcome. Min says, thanks, Monkey Man. Uncle Hairball says, I would do some other people's playlists too, but my internet is already having fits, right? Mine too. Mine's having problems too. Justin Hill's here. Hi, Justin Hill. How are you? Everybody say hi to Justin. How you doing today, Justin? Happy Tuesday. Someone says, Daisy, wow, you are growing. You hit 3.44. Really? It's awesome, Sonal. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're just putting me out to more people. I don't know, but thank you, Sonal. Thank you so much. Magnetic North says, hi, Justin. Vacation Family says, hello, Blessed Mama. Magnetic North says, hi, Adrian. Hi, Vacation. Susanna, the proud single mother's here. She says, hi, everyone. Hi, Susanna. Welcome. Everybody meet my friend Susanna. If you haven't met her already, say hello to her. She's using emoji. Thank you, Susanna. Welcome. Adrian says, hey, Magnetic North Adventure new member. Susanna said, hi. Hi, Susanna. Sonal says, hello, Susanna. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, got you back, Monkey Man. He also says, good morning to Adrian. Magnetic North Adventure says, hi, somebody cares. Adrian says, Sonal's all about freedom. Hey. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, good morning, Susanna. West Country says, hi, Adrian. Magnetic says, remove the premiere from the list, so it should be okay. Yeah, that's what I would have done too. Good. Awesome. Everybody check out Magnetic North's playlist. Brian Farm says, thanks for every minute. Oh, you're welcome. I had you on this morning with the kitty, and I have to shut things down now when I'm streaming because I'm using too much data. So once I'm done streaming, I'm gonna go back to running everybody. Adrian says, hey, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls and West Country. Sonal says, Stacy will play your playlist again in mid-July. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you. Brian Purpose, appreciate you. At 675 hours, it was in 500. Okay, everybody needs to start watching Brian Farm. If you guys are going out for the day or going out for lunch or breakfast or you want to just look at a beautiful stream, hit up my friend Brian Farm, you guys. I'll run her stream, let it run. Check out her shorts. And Stacy, do you have a playlist? Uncle Hairball says, I know I don't have to tell y'all, but don't forget to spank the like button. Whack it. Hit it hard. Matthew says, mine just came back online. Lee says, please leave a comment if you subscribe so it sticks or YouTube removes them. Tandra's here. Hey, Tandra. Everybody say hi to Tandra. Tandra, she says, good morning, Daisy. Hey, girl. Good to see ya. Monkey Run says, wow, thank you guys. I'm at 196 now. This is the place to come to if you're looking for friends. Our friends are making friends. Lisa's morning to Tandra. Tandra, how are you, young lady? Lucy's using emojis. Thank you, Lucy. Peter Pan says, Lisa's always sharing the good stuff like tea and coffee and cookies. Thank you, Lisa. Yes, she does. Lisa's so sweet. Someone says, Uncle Hairball, I got scared of a like button, but I gently tapped the button. Yeah, I didn't smash it. Don't break it. Tandra says, hey, Lee, how you doing? Good morning. Waza Madu. Waza. Welcome, Waza. Waza says, Sono, hola. Hey, Waza, how's it going? Chocolate Chip Ball says, you're welcome, Monkey Man. Waza said hi. Hello, Waza. Everybody say hi to Waza Madu. Waza Madu. Chocolate Chip Ball says, morning to Tandra. Sono says, good morning, Monkey Man. Magnetic North says, hi, Waza. Tandra says, good morning, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls. Lee says, really appreciate you all. Thank you. You know what? And I appreciate you all too. Right? We're all helping each other. Whatever your goal or your journey is, we're all trying to help each other get there. Awesomely. Mint Chocolate Chip Balls says, hey, Wazamadu, blessed mama's using emojis. Thank you. Fisherman's Lodge. Stuart's here, everybody. Say hi to Stuart. Stuart, how are ya? Welcome, welcome. The Fisherman's Lodge. Someone says good morning to Waza. Jen says good morning, Mint. Mint says hi, Fisherman's Lodge. Wazu says hi, Magnetic North. Good morning. Stuart says, hey, Minty, my brother. Handmaid says, Stacy, we run you on the TV night and day. Thank you, Handmaid. Yeah, everybody start playing Brylon Farm, okay? Magnetic North says Brylon Farm. I'll watch it all on Friday. Waza says, hey, Fisherman's Lodge. Ryan says, hi, Tandra. Uncle Hairball says, silly question. Where does one find their watch hours? It's on the Earn tab. It's on the money where it's on the Earn tab. And then it says your hours there. Fisherman says, it wasn't my brother. West Country says, hi, Tandra. Lee says, hi, Fisherman's Lodge. Monkey Run says, I'm always glad to meet new people. Thank you, Monkey Run. Me too. Stuart says, hey, Lee, my brother. Bill, your Bago's here. What? What are you doing up so early? Good morning, Bill, your Bago. He says, the place to come to for friends. Or if you just want to twerk and lurk, there you go. There you go. There, we got to put that up. There you go, there you go, there you go. Thank you, Bill, your Bago, and good morning, buddy. Someone says, hello, Stuart. Lee says, I'm doing okay, thanks. Stuart said, hey, Soma, my dearest brother, an awesome member to my jelly club. Wazumadu says, blessed mama, what is that monstrosity I just saw on your short? LOL. Stuart says, I'm doing okay. How's your dad doing? Stuart, how's your dad? Lisa says, hi, Bill, your Bago. Lisa says, Peter Pan trying to make people smile. Lisa, you're so sweet. The world is a better place with Lisa in it. Blessed Mama says, Wazoo, hermit crabs. LOL. Daisy, may I send you an email? Okay, Stuart, I'll check it after the stream, okay? Mint Chocolate Chip says, I hope this rain clears up soon so I can go out in a few hours. Oh, you have rain going on, Richard? We have just sunny blue skies. I don't really see, like, there's clouds back there. See, there's clouds there. All right. Wazoo says, big hermit crabs. Tandra says, hi, Ryan. Blessed Mama says, yeah, some are big. Uncle Herba says, that's why I can't find it. LOL. Tandra says, hi, West Country Mudlarks. Handmade Homegrown says, YouTube Studio under Earn. The Fisherman's Lodge says, hi, Lisa. Matthew says, I still need watch hours. I'm at 13:45. Matthew Fields is also looking for watch time, guys. If you can help him out and play a playlist, go watch one of his live streams. Matthew Fields is working on his too. Thank you. Stuart says, hey, H&H, Ann's here. Ann says, yellow, all you funny people. Hi, Ann. Welcome, good morning. Oh, Ann, good afternoon for you. Good afternoon, Ann. Blessed Mama says, hi, Ann. Stuart says, Dad is okay, but still struggling to eat. Well, I take that as pretty good news. All things considered, right? Richard says, I sub to you, Wazamado and Tandra. Ann says, hello, blessed mama. Mint Chocolate Chips says, morning, Ann. Ann says, hi, Mint. Lee says, good morning to Ann. Corey's Outdoor Adventures is here. Hi, Corey. Corey's Outdoor Adventures. Welcome, welcome. Corey says, hi, Lee. Lisa says, hi, Ann. Corey says, hi, Miss Daisy. Hi, Corey. How are ya? Blessed Mama says hi, Corey. Lisa says hi, Corey. Mama says hi, Lisa. Min says, welcome, Corey. Uncle Hairball says, I don't know about this monetization thing. Sounds like a PETA. Bless him. You know what? We should just sit and talk about it like off the stream, Uncle Hairball. We can talk to him more in detail on Discord if you want. Because I say go for it. You can make a little extra cash, you know. Why not? Just for doing what you love to do anyways. Blessed Mama says hi, Magnetic North. Lisa says hi, Fisherman. Waza said look more like a coconut crab. Got any of those? They ate Amelia Earhart. Waza, that's a good one. Ann says, yeah, I watched Reacher and fell asleep. Just woke up 2 hours later. Oh, Reacher was good, right? Min says, sorry to hear that, Fisherman Lodge. Hope he has a speedy recovery. Corey's Outdoor Adventure says, hi, Blessed Mama. Sona says, what is the problem's favorite shoe brand? The issue. What is the problem's favorite shoe brand? The issue. The issue, get it? That's a good one, Sonal. You got to think about that one, but it's good. Ann says, hi, Lisa. Corey says, hi, Sonal. Roll calls Cabin's here. Hey, Cabin, how's it going? He says, good morning, Kelly. Miss Daisy May fam. I'm working, so I'm working. But I ain't twerking. We got to pin that. That's so good. Good morning, Roll calls Cabin. Good morning, good morning. Blessed Mama says, why is there no coconut crabs? They freak me out. Sonal says, I thought of that joke. Corey says, hi, Ann. Ryan says, hi, Ann. Mint Chocolate Chip says, hey, Robert. Sonal says, hello, Roll calls Kevin and Corey. Corey says, hi, Mint. Waza says, Mint. I'm subbed to you already as well. Tandra says, Mint chip, chocolate chip balls. Thank you. I'll return to you. Lisa says, blessed Mama, hi. Ann says, hi, Roll calls Kevin. Sonal says, hello, Tandra. Lisa says, hi, Roll calls. Sonal says, hello, Ann. Tandra says, hello, Sonal. Hey, Sonal. Mint says, no problem, Tandra. Billy Bagel says, if you let 5 ants move in with you, they bring 5 more. Do you have a tenant? If you let 5 ants move in with you and they bring 5 more, do you have a 10 ant? Come on, that's cute. That's a good one too, Billy Bagel. I like it. Corey says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, Corey. Ann says, I'm in the 3rd session now, Kelly. Oh, the 3rd season? I've only seen the first 2. So far, so good, huh, Ann? Min says, thanks, Waza. Ann says, and they busy making the 4th one. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Isn't that Reacher guy a monster? He's huge. He's a huge dude. Min says, morning, Billiard Bagel. Lisa says, good morning, Cabin. Billiard Bagel says, hi, everybody. Peter Pan says, Sonal with the jokes. I got to make sure I have your bell turned on. Remind me to turn on your bell. Or put it in the chat, put it in the Discord, and that way I'll remember. Lisa's, Corey, I can call you, please. Or, Corey, can I call you? Sonal says, I wasn't sure if that was a good joke, but it was worth a try. Rock Salad Passion. Hey, Rock Salad, how are ya? Hello, Daisy's mom. Hello, Rock Salad Passion. Hello, hello. Rock Salad says, hello, everyone. Lisa's giving cookies out. Thank you, Lisa. Sonal says, hello, Rock Salad. Ryan says, hi, Sonal. Waja says, my grandpa was at Iwo Jima. He refused to eat crabs. He said he'd never eat anything that will eat him. Really? Crabs eat people? Mint says, hi, West. Welcome, Rock Salad. Sonal says, hello to Ryan. Rock Salad says, hey, Sonal, how are you doing? Lee says, hi, Rock Salad. Rock Salad says, good morning to Mint. West Country's using emojis. Thank you, West Country. Rock Salad says, Lee, how are you doing today? Corey says, hi, Rock. Ryan says, hey, Sonal, how's your day? Peter Pan says, Lisa was up all night again, baking the cookies. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for the cookies. Appreciate you so much. West Country says, hi, Rock Salad. Jamie's here. Jamie Brown's in the house, everybody. Hi, Jamie. Everybody say hi to Jamie Brown. You know, guys all know Jamie Brown. He's our tall, dark, handsome guy from across the pond. Welcome, Jamie. Everybody say hi to Jamie. Someone says, doing well, Rock Salad. How are you? Tina says, it blacked out for a minute. Yes. Yes, it did. I don't know what's going on with my phone. Rock Salad said, Corey, how are you? Good to see you. Min says, how you doing on your Fortnite, Ryan? Ann says, massive. So glad he's not my husband. Too big to love. That's a good one, Ann. Rock Salad said, I'm doing great. I'm glad to hear that, Rock Salad. Thank you for being here. Elise says, hi to Jamie. Waza says, I know the secret cure for ants in the house. Last time I did it, they vanished for almost 3 years after a decade of them being a problem. And what is that, Waza? Uncle says, 131 subs now. Thanks, everyone. You're welcome. You'll keep growing too, Uncle. Yeah, awesome. Jamie says hi to Magnetic North. Kumari's here. Hi, Kumari. Kumari says, Rock Salad Passion, I sub to you. Mint says, morning, Tina, the Phantom Lucina. Magnetic says, hi, Kumari. Yeah, Kumari, hi. Welcome. Rock Salad says, thank you. I will return it, Kumari. Solon says, my foot fell asleep. I feel like I have a lazy foot. Lazy foot. Got pins and needles. All right. Mint says, hey, Jamie Brown. And then hi, Kumari. Jamie says, hi, Mint. Chocolate chip balls. Tandra says, Mint. I left you a message. Kumari says, Magnetic North, hi. West Country says, hi, Jamie Brown. Jamie Brown says, hi, West Country. Mint says, thanks, Tandra. Appreciate it. Sono says, Lisa, glad I gave you the recipe. I stole it from a friend. Everybody wants the Troll House cookies, right? Sono's laughing. Tandra says, lovely day there, Daisy. It is a beautiful day, you guys. It's a beautiful day. Really, really, it's a beautiful day. How lucky am I to be here spending it with you guys? I'm so lucky. Waza said, predatory nematodes. Sono says, beautiful. Abigail's here. Hi, Abigail. Abigail Carpenter says, hey, everyone. Hello, Abigail. How are you, young lady? Young lady Abigail. Beautiful lady. Tandra says hi to her. Cabin says good morning to everybody he missed. Ann says hi, Abigail. Jen says hi, Roll Calls Cabin. Jamie Brown says hi, Abigail. Someone says, I think it must be the internet. Mint Chocolate Chip says, good morning, Abigail. How are you today? Abigail says, heat wave today. Heat wave. Everybody try to keep cool, okay? Abigail says, love you, chocolate. Ann says, hi, Tandra. Rock Salad Passion says, hey, Roll Calls Cabin, how's it going? Sonal says, hello, Abigail, stay hydrated. Yes, please stay hydrated, you guys. Cabin says, hi, Jen. Tandra says, hey, Ann. Jamie says, hi, Cabin. Abigail says, I'm doing amazing. I'm glad you're doing amazing, Abigail. Welcome, welcome. Jen says, hi, Abby. Ann says, hi, Jen, Jamie, and Rock Salad. Magnetic North Adventure says, hello, Abigail. Mint Chocolate Chip Boss says, good to hear that, Abby. Cabin says, hi, Abigail. Jen says, hi, Ann. Ann says, hi, Magnetic. Berry's here. Hey, Berry. Welcome, welcome. Troll House Cookies, that's right. Troll House Cookies. Welcome, Berry. I was just watching Berry's premiere this morning. And I wanted to say a little bit, and Barry, I hope you're still here because I'm behind in the chat, but those cards, those baseball cards that you and your brother drew, priceless. I mean, and you even said that they were priceless, but those cards that you and your brother drew are so beautiful. And you sell yourself short, Barry. Yours was just as beautiful as your brother's. It was just as beautiful as your brother's was. Everybody, if you've not checked out Barry, check him out. Okay, he had a premiere this morning. Really beautiful, beautiful premiere, Barry. I loved it. Thank you for inviting me. Abigail says, nice to see everyone. Lisa says, hello, Barry. As says Kevin. Abigail says, I'm doing amazing. That's great, Abigail. I'm so glad. Sono says, be right back. We'll leave you running. Thank you, Sono. Abigail says, I appreciate you guys. We love you, Abigail. We appreciate you, too. Richard says, hey, Barry. Ryan says, hi, Abigail. Lisa says, Sono, just trying to make everyone smile. Because that's what Lisa does. Lisa's so beautiful. Barry says, hello, Ann. Barry, I like that. Barry. Did I miss that somewhere? Cabin's used an emoji. Thank you. Barry says, hello to Magnetic North. Cabin's lurking. Thank you, Cabin. Ann says, LOL, Barry. Abigail says, I'm watching my dog today. Wonderful, Abigail. That's wonderful. Barry says, hello, Roll Call Cabin. Mint says, that's awesome, Abigail. One dog. What dog is it you got? What kind of dog do you have? Someone says, Lisa, of course you make everyone smile. Of course. Barry says, hello, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls. Abigail says, yes. Someone says, of. Barry says, hello, Daisy May. Hi, Barry. Welcome. Ryan says, hey, Sono. Abigail says, having a Jack Russell dog named Petey. Nice. Sono says, hello, Ryan. Barry says, priceless for real. Thank you. Honestly, I just thought it was beautiful. Really. I'm so glad I got to see it. Ryan says, me and my friend are hanging out tonight from work. Awesome, Ryan. Cool. Someone says, okay, be right back. Matthew says, you made shepherd's pie, Matthew? Oh, nice. I love guys that cook. That is awesome. Shepherd's pie, yummy. Lisa says, hi, Barry, Barry. Mint says, just Barry, Barry, thought I was already. Barry says, hello, Lisa, and thank you, Mint. Scully Pop, Scully Pop, Scully Pop. Hi, Scully, how are you? He says, Daisy, May, popping in to say hey. Thank you for doing that. Nice to see you last night as well. Everyone say hi and to Scully Pop, he can't stay. Abigail says, hi, amazing. She's amazing. Scully Pops is getting son ready for camp. Awesome, Scully. Thank you for stopping in. Please hit the like button, you guys. Ryan says, at a music bingo at 5:30 to 7:30. Oh, music bingo. That sounds really fun. Two of my favorite things, music and bingo. I love them both. Barry says, hey, Scully. Scully says, hey, everybody. Min says, hi, Scully Pop. Mr. Plug or Mrs. Plug, welcome. Give me a call out, please. Rectum plug. How's that? Rectum plug. There you go. Welcome. Scully Pop says, I'll leave it running. Thank you, Scully Pop. Thank you so much. Uncle Hairpaw says, I'm no master chef, but I do okay. There you go. Abigail says, hi, Scully. Mint says, Scully Pop, hi. I subbed. Orion says, hi, Scully. Scully says, we'll be listening. Oh, thank you, Scully Pop. Rectum Plug says, hi, you're the best. Thank you, Rectum Plug. Thank you. Everybody needs a chuckle in the morning. Thank you for giving it to us. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, hello, Plug. What a name, right? Lisa says, hi, Scully Pop. Rectum Plug says, got a sub from you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rectum Plug. That's so sweet of you. I would have said it even if you didn't sub, just because you asked me to say it. And as long as it's not a swear word, I will say it. Thank you for being here. Well, Rectum Plug, you're so funny. Obviously, you have a good sense of humor. Abigail says hi to Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Lord of King, Jesus, believe me. Hi, Lord of King, welcome. Uncle Hairball says, and the doctor said rectum, it darn near killed him. Yeah. Lord of King says Jesus is coming soon. Yes, Lord of King, thank you for that. But we do not talk religion, okay? We don't talk about religion. Once, yes. Twice, no. Mint says, hi, Lord of King. Abigail says, hi, King. Lucky says, Jesus is coming for Iran. Also, we're not putting up with that. Thank you, Devin. Hey, Devin, and thank you. Ryan says, this is actually our first time hanging out outside of work. Good, Ryan. Nice. Lord of King, I do believe you, but I'm not going to put it on my chat. Okay, everybody? We don't talk about religion. If you want to say something quickly, I would let it slide. But if you continue, no, I'm not having that. No religion, no politics. Yeah. Thank you, Share Bear. Share Bear's here. Did I miss you? Share Bear. She must be a lurking and a twerking. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we're not doing that. We are not doing that stuff. No politics, that's right. No religion. Too many arguments, Uncle Hairball. Exactly right, and I don't want it. Hi, Share Bear. Thank you, Share Bear, for all your help. And good morning, beautiful, beautiful Share Bear. Jen says hi to Ryan. Min says, good morning, Share Bear. West Country says, hey, Share Bear. Abigail says, good job, everyone. Yes, thank you for help, guys. Thank you. Abigail says, no. Shipper says, Berry, and anyone else I missed, good morning. I'll be back in the call. Thank you, Share Bear. Thank you. Mint says, thanks for stopping by my live, Share Bear. Share Bear says, West Country, good morning. Sorry, guys. I had to put my sandals on. My feet were sweating from my socks. Sunny Chronicles. Good morning, Kelly. Hi, Sunny. How are ya? Welcome, welcome, Sunny Chronicles, and good morning to you, young lady. Barry says good morning, Share Bear. Share Bear says, hey, Sunny, good morning. Jen says, Sunny, good morning. Devin says, no religion. Thank you, Devin. Ryan says, Daisy's right about that. Min says, good morning, Sunny Chronicles. Uncle Hairball says, tips the hat and not sheriff's here. That's right, she is. Jen says, good morning, Devin. Sunny says, good morning, Mint Chocolate. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Paul J. Hi, Jay. Hi, Paul. Excuse me. Devin says, hey, Jen. Hi. Paul J. says, hi, everyone. Hi, Paul. Welcome and good morning. Abigail says, good job, Chocolate. Mint Chocolate Chip says, hello, Paul. West Country says, hi, Paul. And Mint You're welcome. Thank you, Richard. So sweet of you. I appreciate everybody's help with that stuff. Hi, Ann. Ann says, hi, Paul. Hi, Sunny. Abigail says, I want to help. Paul says, hi, West Country. You guys are helping just by being here. Paul says, hi, Mint, and hi, Ann. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Welcome, welcome. Abigail says, hi, West Country. Mint says, I didn't want to hide, but I did say would let it slip once. Thank you. That's okay, Mint. You guys, I trust you guys. I trust you guys with that stuff, and there's a lot of times I don't see it. Sometimes the chat moves so quickly. So I trust you guys to mod it, and I thank you very much. Abigail says, hi, West Country. Sunny says, how's Daisy doing today? We are doing great, Sunny. How about yourself? You gonna have a busy day today? Gonna be hot where you are? Everybody's hot in the country, right? Try to stay cool. Try to stay inside with fans, AC, water. Drink some water, fluids. Uncle Hairball says, Mint Chocolate Chip House. Look at the Quick Draw over there. Quick Draw McGraw. Tandra says, hi, Abigail. Mint says, hee. West Country says, hey, Ann's Place. Hi, Abigail. Mint Chocolate Chip says, we're here for you, Daisy. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it so much. Sunny says, I just woke up. Well, good morning, Sunny Chronicles. Abigail says, we love you. Oh, thank you, Abigail. I love you guys. Paul says, I've been shopping today. Shopping for what? Did you go like food shopping or shoe shopping or just any shopping? And says, so I say here, LOL. Mint says, I woke up 5 or 6 hours ago. Oh, you went food shopping, Paul? I hate food shopping. Do you like food shopping? Does anybody like food shopping? There's a poll for us there. And what are you trying to tell me? Did I miss something, Ann? It's possible. I don't think I did, though. Mint says yes. No. Yes. Color My World. Hey, Color My World. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Color My World. Welcome. Terry. Hi, Terry. Welcome. Hello. Welcome back. Terry, see, everybody say hi to Terry. West Country says, someone just subscribed. Can't see who it is. If you do subscribe, please say hi on one of our shorts so we can return the favor. Thank you. Yes. Guys, if you can leave a comment, please do. Even just an emoji so that they know that you were there. Coffee Cake's here. Coffee Cake Lovin' Bish. Hey, beautiful Coffee Cake. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Beautiful Coffee Cake. Everybody say hi to Coffee Cake. Uncle Hairball says heat index values from 1 to 108. Ugh. So sorry, you guys. Try the best to stay cool. West Country says, hi, Color My World. And says, see, you can't say it without saying it. I hide it so I don't get kicked. Leave it to Ann to do that stuff. Abigail says, love you, coffee. Mint Chocolate Chip says, my super store is across the road, so it's easy. No traffic to deal with. Oh, that's nice. West Country says, hi, Terry. Min says, hey, coffee cake. Coffee cake says, Abby to the gal. Abigail says, I appreciate you guys. And we appreciate you, Abigail. You're so sweet. Terry says, hello, everyone. Coffee cake says, hi, Minty. Mint chocolate chip says, hi, Terry. Ann says, hi, coffee cake. West Country says, hi, coffee cake. Devin says, record heat index in Virginia, 113. 113, that's hot. Coffee cake says hi, Ann. Devin says the heat index. Ann says hi, Devin. Excuse me. Coffee cake says hey, West Country. Ann says hi, Terry. West Country says hey, Devin, clamp. Uncle Hairball says, yikes, what's the matter? Sonal says, hello, Devin. Min says, wow, that's warm, Devin. Stay cool and hydrated. Yes. Ann says, I wonder how you will sound reading Afrikaans. LOL. Stop that. You're too funny. You're too funny. How can you not love Ann, right? Sonal says 85 there. West Country is just an emoji. Thank you, West Country. Love Torture. Hi, baby. Hey, Love Torture. How are you? Oh, okay. Thank you, Devin. Sometimes you guys got to play with them. Sometimes you just got to play with them. Richard says 58 there. 58, that's nice. All right, Ann says, my name is Kelly, and ho gandit met Jew. What are you doing, Ann? My name is Kelly, and ho gandit met Jew. Met Jew. My name is Kelly. Too much. When Larry sings, hi Larry. Larry's here. Everybody, good morning, Larry. How are you, buddy? Larry. Everyone say hi to Larry. You know our sweet, beautiful, loving Larry. Welcome, buddy. Min says, LOL. Min says, hey Larry, how's it going? Ann says, ha ha ha. Ann says, funny. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, hi, Kevin. Ann says, my name is Kelly, and how are you? Someone says, hello, Kevin. There's Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Kevin says, hi, everybody. Larry says, I'm warm already. Hi, Love Torture. If you can behave, you are welcome to stay here. All right? Love Torture, thank you. And where are you from? West Country says, hi to Kevin. This is a fun group, Love Torture. You are welcome to join us and have tea. I have tea here. See? Cup of tea. There you go. Almost gone, but still there. And we are just having a nice morning chat. And Love Torture, you are welcome to be here. But you have to play nice, okay? West Country says, hi, Kevin. Sherber says, Kevin, Abigail, and Larry. Sonal says, hello, Larry. Evan says, no trolling. Sonal says, hello, Sherber. I'm from Nemo Nadu. Wait. Love Torture says, I'm Tamil Nadu. Well, nice to meet you. Where are you from? Sherber says, Sonal, good morning. Ann says, want to know that in German, Kelly? No. No. I have trouble with English, Ann. Min says, be Min says, be respectful, and you will also be respected too. Absolutely, positively. Yep. Tasha says, good morning, Kelly. And Chad, it's already 89 degrees here. Hope you are keeping cool. Working on my online class. Scrabble later. Yes. Scrabble today, 2 o'clock. Oh, good. At least you're staying in the AC for school. Good. He's working on his online class. Good. Tasso, how's Linda? How are you? Good to see you. Uncle Hairball says, don't make me lace up my boots. Uh-oh. Don't get Uncle Hairball mad, you guys. Kevin says, hi, Sherber, Sonal Mid. Kevin, how are you, buddy? Everybody say hi, Kevin. You know Kevin. He's so beautiful. His paintings are beautiful. He's just a beautiful soul. Sonal says, hello, Tasso. Lisa says, hey, Larry. Shiver says, good morning, Tasso and Tandra. Kevin says, hi, Larry. Color My World says, oh, boy. Min says, hi, Color My World. Tasso says, hello there, Share Bear and Sonal. Color My World says, hello. Min. Tasso says, let's see if Alfredo joins. Okay. Min says, hey, Tasso. Share Bear says, good morning to everybody she missed. Color My World, Coffee Cake, Corey's Outdoor Adventures. Tasso says, hello, my chocolate chip balls. Toolman's here. Hi, Toolman. Toolman says, good morning. You guys know Toolman? Say good morning to Toolman. Handmaid's husband, you know him. Linda's great. Oh, good, Tasso, I'm so glad. Someone says, love torture, last warning. Thank you, Sonal. Larry says, hey, Kevin, sorry I missed you. Blessed Mama's using emoji. Thank you. Mary's here. Mary's gigs. She's watching commercials. Thank you, Mary. Color My World said, I saw the first baby fawns this morning. I was so excited. Woke the house up. Color My World, baby fawns. That sounds lovely. That sounds beautiful. Tassos, let's keep it clean. Yes. My friends are all over this. Thank you, guys. Matthew says, Toolman, I subbed. Someone says, Devin, chill out. Lisa says, hi, Share Bear. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, just subbed coloring, thought I was already. Larry says, hey, Toolman. Mint Chocolate Chip says, good morning, Mary. Roll calls, Cabin's lurking. Thank you, Cabin. Lisa says, hi, Mary. Tasso says he's getting the hammer. Tasso's laughing. Devin says, keep weirdo away, Sonal. Burrs52 is here. He says, hi. He or she, I don't know. Hello, Burrs52, and welcome. Hi back. Share Bear says, hi, everybody she's missing. Granny Paula's here. Hi, Paula. She wants the winter bag. Paula wants the winter bag. Burrs52 said, hi, Burrs52, welcome. Mint Chocolate Chip says, give him the boot. Granny Paula says, good morning, all. Good morning, beautiful Granny Paula. Share Bear says, hi, Lisa smiles a lot. Matthew says, hi, Share Bear. Mint says, hi, Burrs52. Larry says, good morning, Mint. Ann says, hi, Paula. Share Bear sending love, thank you. Share Bear says, hi, Granny Paula. Ann says, hi, Share Bear. Mint says, good morning, Granny Paula. Tasso says, welcome, Granny Paula. Paula says, hi, Ann. Hi, Share Bear. Hi, Mint. Sonal says, okay, he got his last warning. And he got the boot. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, guys. Lisa says, hi, Paula. Burst says, what's going on? We're just having some tea. We're having some morning tea, Burrs. How about yourself? And where in the world are you located, my friend, Burrs52? We're in the United States. Toolman says, up to Matthew. Granny Paula says, hi, Lisa. Mary says, cortisol commercial and a Tic Tac commercial. Thank you, Mary. Devin gave him the boot. Tasso says, hello, Mary. Share Bear says, hello, Mary's gigs. Ann says, hi, Mary's gigs. Good to see ya. Someone says he got the boot. Tasso says, hello, Devin. Burr says, 52. What? What's going on, Burrs? Matthew says, once again, the best live ever. Thank you, Matthew. You're so sweet. Mary says, hey, Tasso. Paul is using emojis. Game over. Too late. He got warned. Ryan says, hi, Mary. Mary says, hey, Matthew. Hey, Share Bear. Mary, thanks for watching commercials. Thanks for being here. And good morning, Mary's gigs. Devin says, yo, what's up, Tasso? Uncle Hairball says, too many warnings. That's right. We're done playing. Mint Chocolate Chip Balls, I'm putting the kettle on. Oh, good. I have just a little bit left. Paul says 44 likes. Thank you. Matthew says hi to Mary. Birds52 says subscribe. Mint says some people don't learn. West Country says hi, Mary's gigs. Tina says, hey, Tasso. Sharebear says, what's with the trolls? Yeah, I don't know. Mary says, hey, Mint. Tasso says, sup, Tina. Paula says, welcome, or hello, Matthew, and Uncle Mary, and Uncle and Mary. Larry says, sometimes I wonder why I always watch drama channels. That's why I love this channel. Ah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, I scroll through the channel sometimes. I'm like, wow, I can't believe people watch some of that stuff. But they do. Thank you, Larry. That's so sweet of you. Actually, I'm going to pin you up, Larry. Sherber says, hi to Tina. Granny Paula says, hi, Tasso. Ann says, hi, Tasso. Sonal's giving Troll House cookies out. Thank you, Sonal. I'm hungry. Let's all have some Troll House cookies. Pass them out to the trolls as well. Mary says, hey, Tina. Matthew says, hi, Granny. Tasso says, hello, Ann's place. Ann says, yeah, Buzz, if you don't behave. Sherber says, Burrs. No, it's not. It's a nice, friendly chat. Yeah, it's very nice here, Burrs. We just don't put up with any religion or any politics or any swearing. Other than that, you can be here. We would love you to be here. Mary says, hey, Sonal. Sonal says, Burrs, nope, keep the chat clean. Mary says, hey, Granny. Mom dog, Molly. Molly's here, everybody. Say hi to Molly. Molly. She says, good morning, Kelly in chat. Welcome, Molly. Need for Speed. He rocks in the treetops all day long, hopping and bopping and singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Morning. I love that. We have to pin that. That's so good. Hey, Need for Speed, welcome. Burr says, we can make a roast? Granny Paula says, hi, Ryan. Ann says, hi, Mom Dog. Molly, how are you today? So good to see you. Mary says, hey, Larry. Mom Dog says, hi, Mary. Mary says, hey, Ann. Sonal said, hi. Hi, Sonal. Paula said, hi, Mom Dog. Paula said, hi, Sonal. Larry says, I just watched him for the host. Oh, that's nice, Larry. That's nice. Min says, hey, Need for Speed. Barry says, more Troll House cookies, please. Sherbert says, I Need for Speed and Molly's dog, Mom Dog. Molly says, hi, Paula. Paula says, hi, Barry. Mary's using emojis. Thank you, Mary. Mom Dog said, hi, Sonal. Paula said, hi, Larry. Barry says, hello. Granny Paula. Mom Dog says, hi to Share Bear. Sonal says, hello, Mom Dog Molly. Ann says, where's Andy? Where is Andy? Ann, are you doing trivia today? Ann, are you doing trivia today? Hairball says F-A-F-O. I don't know what that means, Hairball. Mary says, hey, Mom Dog. Min says, hi, good morning, Mom Dog. Granny Paula says, hello, Need for Speed. Sonal says, hello, Need for Speed. Maddie's here, everybody. Maddie's Nifty Creations. Another beautiful, beautiful soul. You guys check out my friend Maddie. Good morning, beautiful Maddie. How are you? She says, good morning, Daisy Tweet. Mom Dog says, hey, mint chocolate chip balls. Maddie says, hi, Granny Paula. Ann says, hi, Maddie. Sherbert says, hey, Barry, what love? Maddie says, hi, Sonal. Mary says, hey, Maddie. Maddie says, hi, Burrs. Sherbert says, good morning, Maddie. And Granny Paula says, hi, Maddie. Need for Speed says, hey, peeps. Hey, Need for Speed. Good to see you. Welcome. West Country says, hi, Maddie. Maddie's Nifty Creation says, hi, Need for Speed. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, morning, Maddie. Granny Paula says, peeps. They are peeps. Mom Dog says, I'm loving all the love. Me too, Mom Dog. That's why we don't want to disturb by these trolls causing us problems. Maddie says, hi, Mom Dog. And hi, West Country. Min says, how are you today, Larry? Paula says, hi, West Country. Mom Dog says, hi, Maddie. Maddie says, hi, Min. Sonal's passing out more cookies. Cookies for everybody. Troll House cookies are the best. Shibber says, thanks to them dang cookies, I had to get some from McDonald's. McDonald's cookies are good. Larry says, I'm good. Oh, I'm glad you're good, Larry. Paula's getting coffee. Mint chocolate chips using emojis. Burst says, you know, I don't know what that is, Burst. I'm so sorry. Maddie says, oh, thank you. Ann says, no, I'm only doing it on Thursdays. Okay, Thursdays it is. Thursday it is. All right. Ryan says, hi, Maddie. Sonal says, fudge around. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sonal. I gotcha. Burr says, hi. Hi, Burr's 52. Maddie says, time to give cold water to chickens and get eggs. Thank you for being here, Maddie. Everyone, please hit the like button on your way in or on your way out. Paula says, Daisy, we love you. Oh, I love you guys. I love you guys, too. You guys make my morning. You really make my morning. Mom Dog says, hi, Ann. Hi, Ryan. Uncle Hairball says, I can't say it here. That's why the letters. I gotcha, Hairball. I get it now. Maddie says, hi, Ryan and Ann. Burrs says, hi, everyone. Hi, Burrs. Welcome. That's the way to do it. West Country says, hey, Mom Dog. Granny Paul says, hi, Burrs. Matthew says, I now have 1454. Mom Dog says, hi, Mudlarks. Devin says, hello, Burrs. West Country says, hi, Burrs. Sherbert says, yay, Matthew. Yes, Matthew. Little by little. It takes time to grow a channel. Unless you're like Mr. Beast or somebody like that. Ann says, I might do a spontaneous chit-chat with music later tonight. All depends on the reacher. The one thing I wanted to tell you, Ann, about those, when you do the lives like that, is it's hard to hear you over the music. I mean, I love them. But maybe you could turn the music down a little bit and maybe turn your voice up a little bit. It's very hard to hear you. All depends on reacher. Gotcha. Someone says, Sherbert, here you go. Here's some more cookies. Paula says, hi, Devin. Mom Dog says, hey, Devin. Burr says, I'm a YouTuber. Well, welcome. So are we. Thank you so much for being here. Maddie says, hi, Matthew, and hi, Share Bear. Matthew says, hi, Maddie. Share Bear says, they are so good, Kelly. McDonald's cookies. Yeah, you know who else has good cookies? Subway. I don't like Subway food, but I like Subway cookies. Birds is having lasagna. Now you're making me hungry. Someone said hi. Devin says, yo, what's up, Paula? Mint chocolate chip balls. I like lasagna. I'm hungry. Now you're making me even more hungry. Shearbird says, hi, Maddie. Maddie says, hi, Devin. Granny Paula says, what's up? LOL. Devin says, hey, Nifty. Maddie says, you're welcome anytime. Thank you, Maddie. You're so sweet. Shearbird's using emojis. Thank you, Shearbeard. Matthew says, I like my lasagna made with creamed spinach. Sonal's using emojis too. Thank you, Sonal. Shearbird says, LOL, Uncle Hairball, love me some FAFO. Mint says, you make ours full of joy and happiness too with your sweet, welcoming soul. Aw. Mint chocolate chip balls, you are so sweet. You're like one of my own kids. You're nicer than my kids. Not really, boys. If my boys are listening, not really. But that's who you remind me of. You remind me of my children. I love you guys. Uncle Hairball says, I'll be right back. Granny Paul says, Uncle Hairball, great name. Burr says, guys, let's meet her. Mary says, it took me beast time. Maddie says, and you make everyone a good morning. Thank you, Maddie. I want to try to make everybody have a good morning and send you off on your day, with a smile on your face. If I do that, then I feel I've done something. Mom Dog Molly's using emojis. Thank you, Molly. Lee says, hi, Maddie. Sonal says, Burrs, what do you mean? Magnetic says, hi, Mary. Share Bear's using emojis. Lee says, hi, Mom Dog. Mom Dog says, hi, Magnetic. Ann says, I don't speak, I type. Oh, okay. See, I put it up on my TV. And I have to make sure I put the chat on. Okay. I have to make sure I do that then. See, when I put it up on the TV, you can't chat. So now I get it. All right. Thank you, Ann. I'm going to have to rewatch those now. Devin's using emojis. Lee says, hi, Paula. Sona's using emojis. Paula says, hi, Magnetic North. Lee says, hi, Share Bear. Maddie says, when doing lives, music has to be 0 copyright. And so low, you can barely hear the music of people. Yeah, she makes her own. Ann makes her own music. Share Bear said, hi, Lisa. I'm sorry, Sherbert said, hi, Lee. And says, my mic is muted on those. Okay. Maddie said, hi, Lee. Uncle Hairball says, the motto of my generation right up there with snitches get stitches. Snitches get stitches, right on. Magnetic says, hi, Burr. Sonal sending love. Thank you, Sonal. Magnetic North says, hi, Devin. Mary says, hey, man, Magnetic North Adventures. Roll calls. Cabin says, I got a minute. Well, welcome, Cabin. How you doing? Thank you for stopping in, hitting the like button, everybody. Appreciate it so much. Lee's using emoji. Shearbear says, hi, Uncle Hairball with love. Mint Chocolate Chip says, I plan on doing a live at the Warmore Museums and another at the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester to show and let people learn the process. Mint Chocolate Chip Balls, that's great. I tell people that. Do your content on things you love and enjoy, and people will want to see it because you want to show it to them. I love that, Richard. That's so great. Mom Dog says, hey, Cabin. Cabin says, hi, Share Bear. Share Bear says, hi, Cabin. Paula says, hi, Cabin. Cabin says, hi, Mom Dog. Cabin says, hi, Granny Paula. Maggie says, I made a spinach bologna and lettuce tortilla last night. Really? I never heard of something like that. Share Bear says, Mint, I'd love to see that. Maddie says, hi, roll calls, Cabin. Uncle Hairball says, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls, let us know when. I'm down. Yeah. Right on, Richard. I have to make sure my bell is on for Richard. Cabin says hi to Mary. Larry says, when Larry Sings says, hey, Matthew, I've been watching your truck simulator. I was wondering if you think you could drive a real semi. That's a good question, Larry. That's a great question. Ryan says, hey, Cabin. Mint Chocolate Chip says, yes, I think it would be something different and entertaining. It would be great. Yes, absolutely. Cabin says, hey, Larry. Lee says, hi, Larry. Maddie says, it helps us have a relaxed good morning start. Yeah, that's what I want. A nice relaxing morning. As I read the chat as fast as I can, right? Fred's here. Fred says, I'm watching you. Hi, Fred. Welcome. Where are you watching me from? What part of the world are you in, Fred? Cabin says, hey, Ryan. Someone says, trolls, it will $200 enter the chat. All right, we got to get rid of that. Sona, we can't put that up there. We want YouTube to say something. See that? Garcia, you live in the river. No, I don't live in the river. Where do you live, Garcia Jose? Welcome. Well, Larry Singh says, hey, Fred. Mint says, I will put a post up on my community page to let people know a time and day. Uncle Hairball. Great, Mint. And you know what else you could do, you guys? You turn the bell on all. It's okay, honey. Hi. You guys want to see Daisy? Hi. 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 You want to go in? Hmm? Want to go in? Yeah. Stay right there. Yeah, it's hot. She wanted to go in and be cool. Larry says, hey, Fred. Oh, I got that. Shipper says, hey, Sonal, LOL. Sonal says, hey, everyone who's joining. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to tea time. Welcome to Tuesday. It is June 24th, 2025, 9:09 a.m. in the United States. This is Florida, USA, right here. Troll Slayer, hey, morning. Well, good morning, Troll Slayer. He says, morning, Daisy. Troll Slayer, welcome. Before we say hi to Troll Slayer, Sherber says, Devin, that's great. Lee says, hi, Troll Slayer. Devin says, peace. Mint Chocolate Chip says, hi, Fred, man. Granny Paula says, $200 troll entry. Maddie says, oh no, forgot the head cold wrap for Johnny. Uh-oh. Mint says, hey, Troll. Shearburst says, Troll Slayer, good morning. Granny Paula says, hi, Troll Slayer. Troll Slayer says, hello, Magnetic. Devin says, I know Shearbear. Matthew says, hey, when Larry sings, I have got to drive a semi-truck once. It was a blast. You did, Matthew? How cool is that? Mint says, hi to Garcia. Troll Slayer says, hello, Devin. Maddie says, hi, Slayer. Ann says, shame. Did you try to hear me on the Chit Chat Lives? I did. I did try to hear you on there. I'm going to rewatch them. I'm going to rewatch them because I like watching. I like listening to you. Troll Slayer says, hello, Granny. Soul says, hello, Troll Slayer. Maddie says, 100%. Paula says, good advice, Daisy. Thank you, guys. Troll Slayer says, hello, Maddie. Mint says, yep, thanks, Daisy. Maddie says, it was yummy. It was yummy. Shipper says, let's just keep chatting like crazy. I know Kelly's trying to catch up. Mom Dog says, hi, Troll Slayer. Maddie says, first time I did it, but boy, it was delicious. Magnetic North says, Mint, be careful. I was told I couldn't film all in Imperial War Museum due to copyrights. Really? Yeah, if it says no filming allowed on the door, then you're not allowed to. Like when I went into the Vatican, you go down to the Sistine Chapel, and you're not allowed to use a camera. You're not allowed to take pictures. So yeah, just double check, Richard. Troll Slayer says, hello, Share Bear. Mom Dog says, LOL, Share Bear. Larry says, yeah, I love semis. I had a lot of semi-drivers in my family. Nice, Larry. Lisa says, hi to everyone I missed. Mary says, neat, Larry. Coffee cake emoji's here. Hi, coffee cake emoji. You just smile when you say it. Hi, coffee cake emoji. Shipper says, hi, coffee cake emoji. So does Mary's Gigs. Lee says, hi, coffee cake. Paula's giving a thumbs up. Thank you, Paula. Mom Dog says, hi, Bish. Matthew says, I would like to get Truck Driver to subscribe to my channel. I only have a couple right now. Oh, that's cool, Matthew. You should keep putting out a post and let people know that. Coffee Cake says, Shibber and Mary, hi. Somo says, hello, Coffee Cake. Granny says, hi, Bish. Magnetic North says, hi, Daisy May. Hi, Lee. Shibber says, she's so pretty with her haircut. Isn't she? Doesn't she look beautiful? Troll Slayer says, hello, Mom Dog. Mint Chocolate Chip says, yeah, the star of the channel. That's right, she is. Oh, thank you, Mary, she is. Ryan says, hey, Daisy. Hi, Ryan. Paula's just emojis. Coffee Cake says, Magnetic and Granny. Hi. Mom Dog says, somebody looks freshly groomed. Yes. She had a spa day on Saturday. Mint says she looks beautiful after her spa day. She does, doesn't she? Someone says, little Daisy, yes. Troll House cookies more. Lisa just makes more cookies. Fresh troll cookies, troll house cookies. Thank you, Lisa. Sonal says, I agree, Mom Dog. Mint says, using emojis. Thank you, Mint Chocolate Chip. Maddie says, hi, Lisa. Lisa says, hi back. Lisa says, Lisa, thank you for thank you. It's 2:09 here in the UK. Yes, it's afternoon for our UK friends. Coffee cake emoji says Troll Slayer and Ryan hi. Lee's using emojis too. Thank you, Lee. Troll Slayer says hello, coffee cake. Mary's using emojis. Thank you, Mary. Cool, Matthew. Coffee cake emoji says hi, Maddie. Lisa says good afternoon, Magnetic. Ryan says Mary's gigged. Hey. Someone says hello, coffee cake emoji. Ann says you're funny, Kelly. You're funny. You're funny, honey. Sonal's using emojis. Love the hearts. I love it. Mary says, hey, Ryan. Ann says, LOL. Coffee cake emoji says, hi, Sonal. When Larry sings, says, it really is true that semi-driving is in your blood. Troll Slayer says, hello, anyone I missed? Maddie says, hi, Mary. Maddie says, hi, sings. A coffee cake emoji says, hey, Larry and Ann, hi. Sonal says, Sheer Bear. I couldn't even keep up with my chat. Uncle Hairball says, chat be zooming, yo. Ann says, hi, Bish. Mary says, hi, Maddie. Someone says, Richard, same here. Ann says, hi, Bish. Cabin says, hi, Troll Slayer. Shimmer says, Larry. Had so many semi-drivers in my family, always wanted to. I am not so good with road rage, though. Coffee Cake said, roll calls, hi. The Heartless Highlander. Maddie's here. Hi, Maddie. Everyone say hi to the Heartless Highlander. You know Maddie. No frills, no mercy. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, yeah, I was making coffee and missed that. Thanks for the information. Share Bear sent a floating heart. Thank you, Share Bear. Aw, thank you so much, Share Bear. Maddie says, always ask first. I asked before I visited a museum, and Davy Crockett, they were more than honored for it, even gave us information about some items in the museum and info about David Crockett himself. That's nice, Maddie. Yeah, some people will be helpful and some people, no, it's a no. Coffee Kicks, no. Coffee Kicks says hi to Maddie. Mary says, LOL, Share Bear. Lisa's the copyright due surviving family members and sensitive things from after 1970. Larry says, my grandma drove a slave truck? Really? Interesting, Larry. Wow. Burr says, I'm back. Welcome back, Burr. 52. Mom Dog says, hi, Maddie. Hi, Maddie. How's it going? Cabin says, hi, Bish. Sonal says, hello, generous Highlander. Maddie says, yes, a lot of places they don't know how to record in there or cameras because it will affect some items. The Heartless Highlander says, Philly in the house. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Heartless Highlander. You guys know him. That's No Mercy Maddie. Ann says, I gotta go now. Reacher's calling me from Malfar. Bye, Ann. Thanks for being here. Ann's in love with Reacher. Mary says, hey, Frilly. Sherbert says, hey, Maddie, good morning. Maddie says, hey, Molly with love. Hey, Maddie. Magnetic North says, hi, Maddie. Maddie says, Sherbert with love. Larry says, my FYI, staves is what whiskey barrels are made with. Thank you, Larry, for that tidbit of fun fact. Staves is what whiskey barrels are made of. The Heartless Highlander says, love to Mary. Maddie says, basically, a museum is the light and the air. Everything is controlled, so they don't allow cameras because it would throw off everything. Yeah, makes sense, Maddie. Thanks for letting us know. The Heartless Highlander says, leave my brother. Cabin says, hey, Maddie, hope you're doing good, bud. Mint Chocolate Chip Ball says, hi, Heartless Highlander. Sub to you. Maddie says, hi, Highlander. Burr says, this look like a green screen. Mary says, hey, Maddie. Bear says, hey, Sonal. Sonal? Oh, my God, Sonal. Oh, my goodness, Sonal, thank you so much, buddy. This is not a green screen, my friend. We are on the patio. Sonal, thank you, buddy. That is so kind of you. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Troll Slayer says 35 degrees Celsius for me. The Heartless Highlander says, hi, Maddie. Maddie says, hi, coffee cake. Devin says, it's real, Burrs. Mom Dog says, Sonal, thank you. Mary says, so sweet, Sonal. Yes, Sonal, thank you so much. You're so kind. Magnetic North says, bless you, Sonal. You know what? I'll pin that. Thank you, Lee. Maddie says, hi, Mint. Sonal says, you're welcome, Mom Dog. Mint Chocolate Ball says, 35 Celsius. Troll, where are you at? Sherbert says, hey, Sonal at love. Maddie says, we could be nutty and start all doing the Minions and writing. And next thing you know, Daisy, you're reading Minions talk. Don't do that to me. That's funny. Maddie says, hey, Mr. Larry. Sonal says, a big smile. Thank you, Sonal. You're so sweet. Troll Slayer says, Canada. Oh, Troll Slayer's in Canada. Maddie's laughing. The Heartless Highlanders, just stop, take a breath. Okay. I'm taking a breath. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for that. Lee says, LOL, Maddie. Larry says, hey, Highlander. Mary says, the Philly Highlander. The Frilly Highlander. I mean, chocolate chip balls says, we're too fast. She can't keep up. Shearbear says, LOL, Maddie. The Heartless Highlander says, roll calls, bro. How you doing? And he says, love to Mary. Uncle Hairball says, how about we chill for a minute and let her catch up? That would be great. Maddie says, I just served my coffee, now preparing it. Good. Enjoy your coffee, Maddie. Somo says, thank you, everyone, for the support yesterday. You are all the best. Thank you, everyone, for supporting Somo and his live stream. That's so wonderful. I love to see it. Maddie says, hi, Uncle. Min says, we need to slow down and chat so she can catch up, guys. Burr says, what? Somo says, even the wonderful Daisy May. Aw, you're so sweet, Somo. I love you, buddy. The Heartless Highlander says, the legend Sono. The legend Sono. The legend. Larry says, my grandpa, that is. Maddie says, like, true fact, David Crockett, even though it's pictured with the head of the raccoon, he actually never wore one. That part is fake. He never wore one in real life. The coonskin cap, really? That's interesting, Maddie. Thank you for that. Fun fact. I love it. Uncle Hairball says, oh, Maddie's nifty creation. Nice. The Heartless Highlander says, hi, Uncle Buddy. Uncle says, hello, the Heartless Highlander. Someone says, you're welcome, Daisy. Thank you, Soul. You're so kind and generous. When Larry sings his live action. Maddie's laughing. Lisa's using emojis. Mom Dog's using emojis. Sono's using emojis. Lisa's using emojis. And you catched up hopefully here. Min says, okay, I got to go out for now. Hope to catch you all again soon. Have a good day, everyone. Bye, Richard. Thank you so much for being here today, Richard. It was really fun. Thank you so much. Be careful out there, okay? Mom Dog says, take care, Mint Chocolate. Uncle Hairball says, take care, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls. Mint Chocolate Chip says, take care and have an amazing day, Daisy Mate. Thank you, buddy. You too. Ryan says, hey, Molly. Sono says, hey, Maddie. Mom Dog says, hey, Ryan. Mint says, you two guys, enjoy your day. Maddie says, yes, 100% true fact. Lee says, take care, Mint. Maddie says, we live in the Tennessee David Crockett Park down the road. So we visit the, oh, it's down the road. Nice, Maddie. And guess what, guys? I'm caught up in the chat. I'm caught up in the chat. I'm caught up in the chat. And I'm caught up in the chat. Lisa says, take care, Mint Chocolate Chip Balls. And now for a great big drink of water. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to you guys. All right, there we go. Catch up, that's right. Party time. I caught up. Thank you, guys. It's fun trying to catch up, though. It really is. It's like a challenge. I think of it as a challenge. Don't know how I do. I have a lot of energy. For someone who's in their 60s, I do have a lot of energy, but I have to use it. You know what I mean? I can't waste it on stupid stuff because I only have so much energy now that I'm in my 60s. And when it's gone, like, I'm beat. So thank you, Uncle Hairball. Mom Dog says, I love that feeling when I catch up with chat, right, Mom Dog? It's a good one. Hi, Deb. Hello, Sister Mary. God bless you. Stay happy and healthy. Have sweet dreams. Oh, hello, Deb. Welcome. I'm just going to call you Deb, okay, for short. Shearbear says, challenge accepted. That's right, Shearbear. Maddie says, I hear ya. Shearbear says, Deb, good morning. Deb says, wow, it's amazing view. Thank you, Deb. Welcome. It really is a beautiful day, you guys. All right. Thank you, Deb. So is this a little orange Shearbear? Yeah, orange and purple Shearbear. Lee says, hi, Das. Mom Dog says, hey, Deb. Shearbear says, Deb, what a nice way to come into the chat. God bless you, too. Right? That was so sweet. Uncle Hairball says, it's easy for me to keep up with my chats. There's never more than 5 people in there. Well, that's going to change. We're all going to come visit you. Everybody make sure you have Uncle Hairball's bell on so when he goes live, we can all bombard him, too, with the chat. That would be so fun. Lisa says orange share bear. Purple share bear says Lisa smiles a lot. Good morning. Blue Sonal's here. He says hello everyone I miss. Hey Blue Sonal, welcome. Someone said hi. Share bear says Uncle Hairball, we will bombard you too. We will. I gotta make sure his bell's on. I need to make sure Richard's bell is on, and I need to make Uncle Hairball's bell is on. Make sure. Uncle Hairball and mint chocolate chip balls. Da 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 da. Magnetic North says, hi, Smurf Sonal. Yeah, Smurf Sonal, that's what I call him too. Where are you from? This is United States, Deb. How about yourself? Sonal says, Share Bear, same here. Pro Ireland. Hello, friends. Hi, Pro Ireland. Welcome. Everybody say hi to Pro Ireland. Lee says, hi, Orange Share Bears. Blue Sonal says, hello, Lee. Magnetic North says, hi, Pro Ireland. Larry says, I couldn't talk to everyone in my chat. Yeah, your chat really moves too, Larry. Way more than mine. Mom Dog says, hi, Pro Ireland. Pro Ireland says, hi, sorry I missed you guys. Well, welcome. You're here right now. Appreciate you right now, right in this moment. Thank you so much for being here. So this is Uncle Hairball. I subscribed. Uncle Hairball says, I need to get my office done so I can move my PC and set up for my streams. My laptop died, so I have to do them in the house. Yeah. I hear ya. I hear ya. But, yeah, get that office done so that we could come watch. Lisa's giving cookies and milk. Cookies and milk. Thank you, Lisa. Peter Pan. Peter Pan says, can we hijack one of the boats for a little trip in the water? I wish we could. Scully says, oh, good, you're still on. I'm still here. We're here for another at least 35 minutes. Hey, Scully Pop. Sherbert says, I'm so bad. I thought I was subbed to you, Uncle Hairball, with this channel, and I was not, but was with the other one. I swear I was subbing you to begin. It's okay, Sherbert. It's got a lot of glitches. It's all good. Everybody understands it. Scully says, hey, Sonal, Mom Doc says, preparing to spam your next live stream, Uncle Hairball. That's right. We're going to spam you. Scully says, hey, Sherbert. Sherbert says, good morning, Scully. Magnetic Thor says, hey, Pop. Sherbert says, hey, Peter Pan, good morning. Scully Pop says, Mom Dog, hey. Mom Dog says, hey, Scully Pop. Peter Pan says, hello, Sherbert. Pro Ireland, that's a nice, relaxing scene. Oh, thank you, Pro Ireland. Thank you. Mom Dog says, hi to Peter Pan. Uncle Hairball says, Sonal, thanks. I forgot you had more than one channel. Sherbert says, Deb, she doesn't do that. The channel's Daisy and May, the dog, but she's inside at the moment. Yeah, Daisy went in the house. Lee says, hey, Hairball, I'm subbed and bell on. Maddie says, hi, Scully. Maddie says, hi, Peter. Stitching It Up's here, Stitching It Up, Capturing Country Life. She says, hey, friends. Hello, Elisa. How are you? Stitching It Up, Capturing Country Life. Welcome. So this is Deb. Please don't demand. Yeah, no demanding. Maddie says, hi, Pro Ireland. Sherball says, Stitching It Up, Capturing Country Life. Good morning. Pro Ireland says, hi, Maddie. Maddie says, hi, Stitching It Up. Lee says, hi, Country Life. Share Bear says, hey, Pro Ireland, good morning. Peter Pan says, hey, Maddie. Hello, Mom Dog. Mom Dog says, hi, Stitching. Scully says, Maddie Pop. Someone says, Uncle Hairball, you're welcome. Stitching It Up says, hey, Scully Pop. Pro Ireland says, hey, Share Bear. Uncle Hairball says, thanks, Magnetic North Adventures. Stitching It Up says, hey, Share Bear. Scully Pop says, hi, Magnetic. Magnetic says, hope you're all well. Scully Pub says, stitching. Yay, and stitching's using emojis. Thank you, everybody. Maddie says, kindness goes a long way. Remember that. Please be nice. Please be nice, everybody. If you can't be nice, then just be quiet. Someone says, thank you, Lee. All right, I got to check everybody's bells. Just to make sure. Share Bear's using emojis. Thank you, Share Bear. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button. Say hello. We thank you so much. We thank you so much. All right. So I want to make sure Uncle Hairball's bell is on and Magnetic North. No, Richard. Richard Green. Hopefully I can. Uncle Hairball says, be kind, it's free. That's right, it's free, you guys. It doesn't cost anything. Stitching it up says, Maddie's well said. Yes, thank you, Maddie. Lee says, if you have a question, please ask in a friendly way. Please and thank you goes a long way. Yes, please, you guys. You can be kind, use your manners. Someone's using emojis. Thank you, Sono. Maddie says, thank you. Someone's using emojis. All right. And Richard, I want to mint chocolate chip balls. I wanted to check on him too. Maddie says, you can drop your channel link and tell us what your count for subs is and what your goal is without being demanding. Exactly right. Lisa says, do they teach manners anymore? Do they, Lisa? I don't even know. Lisa's Daisy, great video earlier. Oh, from the beach? Thank you, Lee. Mom Dog's using emojis. Thank you, guys. Lisa's, Lisa, I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do either. Maddie says, I don't think they do. We need to be teaching the youngsters, yeah, some manners. Absolutely. Mint chocolate chip balls. We got to find him in the chat here. I hope we didn't miss. I didn't miss it. I'll have to find it later. All right. All right. Let me see where we are. Da 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 da. Scully Pop says, hey, Sono Pop. Ryan says, hi, Maddie. Stitching It Up says, happy Tuesday. Thank you. Happy Tuesday to you, too. Thank you. Sono says, Maddie, I just do my streams and let the subs come. Exactly. They just come to you, right? Shiver says, Lisa smiles a lot. I don't think they do, but I do have to say I have seen some people lately with them. I'm always in shock, right? It's amazing what shocks us anymore. Uncle Hairball says, Lisa smiles a lot. I don't know what they do anymore. Peter Pan says, you guys are all really nice people. Everyone's so lovely and kind in here. Feels good to hang around you and just try to relaxing to you. Oh, thank you, Peter Pan. Thank you so much and welcome, welcome, welcome. Sono says, hey, Scully Pop. Stitching says, hey, Sono. Magnetic says, Peter, it's good. Have you here? Yeah, enjoy. Someone says, hello to Stitch Love. Uncle Hairball says, I mean, if they can't bother with cursive or analog clocks, they're not going to bother with manners. Mom Dog says, Peter Pan, this is an awesome community. Glad you're here. Yes, we're glad you're here, Mom Dog. Joe Restlin's here. Hi, Joe. How's it going, Joe? Joe says, hi, Daisy. How are you today? Well, I'm pretty good. It's going to be warm, but I'm doing pretty good. Joe, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, Joe Wrestling. Maddie says, that's true. Was saying for the ones who want to share their links. Joe says, hi, everyone. Stitching says, a lot of schools don't use books anymore. That's true, too. They don't use books. Mom says, hey, Joe. The Heartless Highlander, Maddie says, hey, Joe. Maddie says, hi, Joe. Lisa says, Peter Pan, you're sweet. So is Uncle Hairball, even Roman numerals. They don't learn Roman numerals? Really? They don't teach Roman numerals anymore? Maddie says, hi, Lisa. Daisy. No. No. Come on. No barking. Come on. Peter Pan says, Mom Dog, you're right. So glad I found you guys. I'm glad we found you, Peter Pan. It's okay. You want to go in? Sorry, guys. Someone says, hello, Joe. Shibber says, Joe Wrestling, good morning. The Heartless Highlander says, hi to Peter. Maddie says, I'm loving those clouds above you, Daisy. Oh, thank you. They're pretty, aren't they? They're really pretty. Magnetic North says hi to Joe. Sonal says, Mom Dog, you're awesome. Stitching using emojis. Thank you. Mom Dog says right back at you, Sonal. Uncle Hairball says that too. Sherpa says they don't learn anything anymore, I swear. Maggie says that's true. They don't use books anymore. They use a lot of electronics. And some, they also stop teaching kids how to read and do the proper math. So now with the new law, our school here, wow, math. Peter says, hello, the Heartless Highlander. Maddie says, went back here doing regular paperwork with real books. I told my kids that's how we used to do it when we grew up. It's even better. You learn even more. You do. I agree with you, Maddie. That's good. Good for you. Someone says, I still remember Roman numerals, but I always get confused by them, right? Hairball says they learn how to take tests, but not really anything practical. Sherber says, I'm only sending my kids to school this last year because they have a good work program to teach a trade. Otherwise, I would homeschool. Wish I homeschooled them. Peter Pan says, thank you, Lisa. You're sweet, always sharing cookies and milk. Lisa says, here, the only thing they use are tablets, paper, and pencils are obsolete. Stitching Up says, I learned more teaching my kids homeschooling than I did in school. Wow. And I'm caught up in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's crazy what they're not teaching in school, right? Computers, you know, computers is going to take over the world. Maddie says, I love going on an adventure to the river and the creeks because we use it to help them do some math, and learning helps them a lot. That's nice. That's nice, Maddie. Someone says, I always think of V as 4 and IV as 5. Oh, you got them just backwards. Yeah, just think of it this way. If V is 5, 1 before V is 4. Magnetic Source, I have to go and have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye, Lee. Thank you so much, Lee. Have a good one. Uncle Hairball says, I got off easy. I never had kids. There you go. Even there you go. Shibbers, they're so worried about everything racist nowadays. Apparently math is, not sure what cursive did to them, but I think they... Someone says, take care, Lee. Lee says, bye for now. Shibbers says, Uncle Hairball, LOL. Mom Dog, take care. Take care, Magnetic. Maddie says, what I meant, I did think about doing homeschooling when COVID was around. And all the kids at school were getting so sick that the whole class was like gone. I was thinking doing it, but it's too much. Stitching says, it's called Dumbing Down America. The Heartless Highlander says, bye, Lee. Bye, Lee. Thank you so much for being here, Lee. Have a great rest of your day. Joe says, I'm doing good today. Good, Joe. Good. I'm so glad. Maddie's laughing. Jason's here. Jason Phelps. Everybody say hi to Jason Phelps. Jason says, good morning, Miss Daisy. Hey, Jason. All right. We're not doing that. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Sorry, everybody. Hi, Jason. How's it going, buddy? Someone says, good to see everyone this morning. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Stop it. Shh. Stop it. All right. Sherebear says hi to Jamie Brown and Jason. Jason says, good morning, all my friends. The Heartless Highlander says, hey, Jason. Someone says, hello, Jason. Jason says, hope everyone is great. Thank you, Jason. I hope you are, too. Mom Dog says, hey, Jason. Lee says, 62 likes. Whoa. Magnetic North Adventure says, 62 likes. Whoa. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Hit that like button if you haven't. Thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. And we got a beautiful donation from Sonal. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. Jason says, I love all my friends. Good morning. Hey, Jason. Share versus Maddie. I did homeschool for a semester during COVID. Should have kept them home. Nature Dog's here. She says, good morning, Daisy, Lisa, Magnetic, Peter Pan, and Sonal. Hi, Nature Dog Realms. Everybody say hi to her. You guys all know Nature Dog. Hey, girl, how's it going? In case you didn't know, she lost her glasses yesterday, and she found them. I was so happy you found them. Oh, she says hi to everybody. Oh, my goodness. How does she do that? It would take me an hour to do that without typos. Thank you, Nature. Maddie says this too. Excuse me. Maddie says that is so true. That's a fact. Stitching's using emojis. Thank you, Stitching. Jason's using emojis. Thank you, Jason. Someone says 63 likes. Oh, thank you. Nature Dog says hi, Jason. The Heartless Highlander says hi, Nature Dog. Joe Wrestling says hello, Jason and Nature Dog. Jason says hello, friends. Good to see everyone in here. Sona says hello, Nature Dog. The Heartless Highlander says, oh, hello, Miss Daisy. Hi, Maddie. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. The Heartless Highlander. Mom Dog says, hey, Nature Dog. Mom Dog and Nature Dog, I just realized that. Stitching It Up says, hey, Mama Chris. Nature Dog's using emojis, thank you. Maddie says, no reason. I didn't like homeschool either. It's because I wanted to socialize as well. Get to have friends, get to make friends, get to know people, life experiences. Yeah, that's another part of the piece of the puzzle that kids are missing these days. Socialization. They don't socialize like they used to. It's way different now. Jason says, I'm going to make coffee right now. Awesome, Jason. Lisa says, hello, Nature Dog Realms. Uncle Hairball says, all this smart tech making us stupid. You're right, Uncle Hairball. It is. Maddie says, hi, Nature Dog. Kathy's here. Kathy says, hi. Hi, Kathy. Stitching It Up using emojis. Thank you. Maddie says, hi, Jason. Cheerbear says, is she barking at the jerk neighbor? No, she's barking at somebody else. Maddie says, hi, Kathy. Mom Dog says, hi, Kathy. Maddie says, everyone have a great day. Thank you, Maddie. You too. Thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate it so much. Chloe Stirs here. Hi, Chloe. Hi, Chloe. Welcome. Stitching says, bye for now. Tom says, good morning, ma'am. Hi, Tom. Jason's using emojis. Thank you, Tom. The Heartless Islander says, hi, Tom, buddy. Mom Dog says, hi, Chloe Stir. Tom says, hey, Mom Dog, Jason. Maddie says, emojis. She says, I want to say thank you. The channel I shared yesterday is now at 493. Oh, 7 more, Maddie. Almost there. Sherbert saying hi to Nature Dog Roll Calls Cabin and Chloe. Tom says, hey, Magnetic. Nature Dog says, good. How are you? I'm good. By the time I'm done with the chat, I'm exhausted. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you. Mom Dog says, hey, Tom. Sherbert says, good morning, Kathy. Tom says, hey, Sherbert. Lisa says, here is how weird it's getting here. They were having an argument about putting litter boxes in school bathrooms. What? Litter boxes for kitties? So they can take their cats to school with them? I don't understand. Nature says, hi, Cabin, hi, Tom, or hi, roll call, hi, Tom. Mom Dog says, congratulations to Maddie. Someone says, Nature Dog, your glasses are playing hide and seek with you. She found them. I'm so glad she found them. Tom says, more than nature in Sono. The Heartless Highlander, 66 likes. Oh, thank you guys for the love. Wow. Thank you. 16 people still hanging out after 99 minutes on. Thank you so much. And 67 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. Wow. I'm honored. Orange Share Bear, she says, Lisa smiles a lot. Oh, hell no. Take them to the pound. Nature Dogs, LOL Sono. Tom says, hey, Nomad. Closter says, hello. The Heartless Highlander says, hey, Tom. Scully Pop says, hey, Nature Dog. She says, hi, Closter. Mom Dog says, hey again, Maddie. Peter Pan says, hey, Nature Dog Realms. Did you win something yesterday? My internet stopped working yesterday, couldn't watch a lot. Did you win something? Tom says, morning, Scully. Scully says, hi, Tom. The Heartless Nomad says, hey, Molly with love. Joe says, congratulations to Maddie. Scully says, hey, Norma. Nomad. Tom says, hey, Joey and Peter Pan. Joe says, hi, Tom. Nature says, no, Peter Pan didn't win on tickets, yet it was really fun with Deb, New York. Peter Pan says, hey, Tom. The Heartless Highlander says, hi, Scully. Peter Pan says, unlucky dog, Nature. No, unlucky Nature Dog, next time you get the big wins. Tom says, evidently people try to say they are cats. Right, Tom? The world's a crazy place. Sherbert says, no litter boxes for the disturbed furies, people who think they're cats. Uncle Harold says, no, for students that identify as cats, not even kidding. It's real? Seriously? Sonal's using emoji. Thank you, Sonal. Scully Pop says, hey, Highlander. Sonal says, hello, Cloister. Nature Dog says, yes, Peter Pan. It was a great fun, and I got all the money back and more, plus the super chats, so need to get another today. Lisa says, no litter boxes for those who identify as animals. I never heard of any of that, you guys. That is all new stuff to me. Tom says, so let's ask the big questions to these delusional furies. If I kick them up some steps, Will I get charged with assault or cruelty to animals? Yeah, I don't know anything about all that, you guys. That is way over my pay grade. I do not know that stuff. Way over my pay grade. Sorry, guys, we have a plane overhead. The plane, the plane. Mom says that's a job for the therapist, right? I don't get paid enough for that. I don't get. Look at this cloud, you guys. What does that look like? I don't know what that looks like to me. Look at the water, though. Remember all the gook that was in the water? It's all gone. The water looks pretty clear. The water looks pretty, doesn't it? Yeah, see, all that debris went out to sea. This canal rises and falls with the ocean water. All right. Let me get back to the chat. Sonal's using emojis. Thank you, Sonal. Mom Dog says a bunny with a mustache. That's a good one. I see that. I see that. That's a good one. Uncle Hairball says, yeah, they don't need their boxes. They need professional help. Right on. Nature says the water's so pretty. It is pretty, isn't it? And all the debris in the water is gone. Tide took it all out. Love it. Shearber says, Kelly, they are called Fury. It's insane. I ran into one in the store and took everything I had to. She even had the word feral tattooed on her. What? This is all news to me, you guys. I've never even heard about this before. Shearber says, Uncle Hairball, right? Tom says, so ma'am, it's like this. Nobody really cares if people are openly gay anymore. So that's no longer the attention-seeking satisfaction it used to be. Then they decided to have the rest of the alphabet. Very strange, Tom, very strange. Nature says, Shearber, what the heck is going on? I don't know what's going on, you guys. I do not understand it at all. Kathy says, I have a friend who's a fury. A furry? Is it a furry or a fury? I guess it's furry, right? Very strange indeed. Mom Dog says, interesting times we live in. That's a good word for it, interesting. That is a good word for it, interesting. Nature says, what is a fury? I don't know. I really don't know this stuff, you guys. Versus Nature Dog Realms, not sure, LL, but I'm not having it. If you're gay, be gay. Fine, that's between God and the person. I will not tolerate trans or furies. Tom says, when that didn't get attention, they decided to try to rationalize delusional behavior. Yeah, the world is a crazy place, you guys. It really is. The world is a crazy place. So we're going to not even concentrate on that kind of stuff. We're going to concentrate on this tree right here. Or how about that tree right there? Isn't that a pretty tree there? That's pretty. Let's look at that. Isn't that a pretty tree? Isn't that a pretty tree? All right, guys, let me keep going. Sorry, guys. Uncle Hairball says, I can't help it, but every time I hear someone talk about, in my head, I'm singing A, B, C, D, F, G. Mom Duck says, looks like it might rain over there. It's supposed to rain maybe after lunch. You never know around here. Yesterday it rained for like 5 seconds. Joe says, that tree is amazing. Isn't it beautiful, Joe? Thank you. It's a pretty tree. Thank you, Nature Dog. Sonal says, pretty tree. Thank you, Sonal. Lisa says, how about you have 68? Thank you, Lisa. 68 thumbs up. Can we make it to 70 before we say goodbye? Kathy says, where is this? This is Florida, Kathy. Where are you at? Mom Dog says, thanks for treating us. Oh, you're welcome. So this is, by the way, Nature Dog Great Live. Tom says, Sheer Bear, I don't care about people pretending to be different species or genders or whatever. Whatever gets you going, I guess. But if your plumbing is internal, you're... It's so hard having kids these days. Right, Sheer Bear? I hear you. I don't understand it either. Sheer Bear says, Tom, yes. Kathy says, Candace. This is Florida, Kathy. Kansas? You came all the way from Kansas to see us? Johnny Resnick says that to the crowd in the Live in Buffalo CD, the Goo Goo Dolls. Uncle Harold says, I'll be back in a few. Mom Dog says, where's everyone from? I'm in Michigan. I'm in Florida, Florida. Nature says, so thank you, appreciate you, my friend. If you want to see a fun live, check out the collab Yogi and I did singing. Tom says, Sheer Bear, you set me up perfectly to say something, Andrew. No, don't see nothing offensive, you guys. Please not. My grandparents live in Englewood. I have a friend in Englewood. Daisy, I didn't know what a Fury was until I went to that store. I wonder if that was our friend, remember the Alice? Remember Alice from Sweden? She always talked about having a tail and stuff too. Maybe that's what she was talking about. I never knew what she was talking about. Tom says, I'm in Eastern Virginia. Mom says, nice. Sheer says, Tom, Andrew, Tom says, Sheer, you got to go to a Renaissance festival. You got to go to a Renaissance festival. Tom, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Half Empty says, good morning. Hey, Half Empty, how's it going? Welcome and good morning. Half Empty. Shiver says, good morning, Half Empty. Mom Dog says, hey, Half. Lisa says, I'm in Southwest Virginia. Joe Wrestling says, hey, Half Empty. Nature Dog says, we have a Renaissance Festival here right now. Check to see if I can film it. Why couldn't you film it? I don't understand. Why would you check? I would just do it. If they tell you to stop, then I would stop. West Country says, I'm back. Hey, West Country. Hi, Half Empty. Nature says, hi, Half Empty. I don't even ask permission for most things. I just do it. If they want to make me stop, then I'll stop. But you might get enough footage for a short. Mom Dog says, welcome back, Mudlarks. Because on their page it says no filming. Oh, if it says no filming, I understand. Yeah, if it says it, I totally agree with you. I agree. Lisa says, hi, Half Empty. Yeah, I wouldn't go against the rules. If it's posted, yeah, I would ask permission, sure. But if it doesn't say that, I would just do it. Like when you go to the Sistine Chapel, it says, and they tell you, no filming, no picture taking, but yet you sit in the Sistine Chapel, you're in your own meditation, and you're just looking at this beautiful, really super old, magnificent piece of artwork that you're standing in, and people are actually taking pictures and videos, even though they're not supposed to. I would never do that. Tom says there's every variety of weirdo dressed in their preferred costumes. You can see the sexy witch from Spencer's to one of... okay, Tom, thanks. Tom says, hey, West, Half Empty. West Country says, hi, Tom. Nature says, hi, West Country. The Heartless Highlander says, hey, West Country. Lisa says, hi, Nature Dog. Nature Dog says, yeah, if it doesn't say it on their page, then I do it. But I read their page and it said that you can't do it. Yes, I understand, yeah. West Country says, hi, Nature Dog Realms. Okay, we're caught up in the chat. 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 Woohoo. What do you see in the clouds, guys? What do you see? Doesn't this kind of look like a hand giving the finger? Do you see that? The hand giving the finger? I don't know. The hand doing sign language? Sheer Bear's using an emoji. Thank you, Sheer Bear. Mom Dog says, hey, it's a party. Welcome. West Country says LOL. Lisa says, haha, I saw that. Doesn't it look like it? Mom Dog says, I'm about to say hand giving the finger, right? Great minds think alike. Tom says, I was going to say something like that, but shorter. Sherber says, you usually don't catch things like that. We're poisoning your mind. I do catch things like that. I just don't say it. Peter Pan says, the hand doing the sign language is a good one, right? The hand's doing the sign language. Or you do something like this, and you say, read between the lines. See how crooked my fingers are? But that was one that my friends used to say. They'd say, read between the lines, and it's your third finger, you know what I mean? Fun times when we were younger, right? All right, I'm going to do a quick poll here before we go. We're going to be going the next few handful of minutes. So we're going to start a quick poll, and it's going to say, just a quick, fun little chuckle. Mom Dog says, my brother still does that to me. And he's a grandpa now, Mom Dog, right? Some people just never grow out of that stuff. Your fingers look like mine. Hoping it's just arthritis. Yeah. And I broke it. It is arthritis. Yeah. Chloe says, just lurking in the background. Thank you, Closter. Lisa says, one more at 70. One more. If you're lurking and you're twerking, hit the like button. Yeah, if you're scrolling, hit the like button, everybody. We're going to try to hit 70 in the next 5 or so minutes before we say goodbye. 5, 8, something like that. There's Daisy. Yo. Hey. What are you doing? Yo. Daisy. Oh, you're so big and bad. Look at you. Daisy. Shh. What are you doing? What are you barking at? Talk about nosy neighbor, right? Tom says, I'm sorry, ma'am. I know exactly how that feels. Yeah, I broke it a long, long time ago. It's all crooked. Yeah. Mom Dog says, just one more. Tom says, it's a pretty good number. It's a pretty good number as is. Nature says, Daisy's a cutie. Thank you, girlfriend. Thank you. She is. She's so sweet. She's the big, bad, nosy neighbor watchdog. Lisa says she's adorable. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. I can't get over the water, though, you guys. All that debris is gone. There was a lot of debris in the water. Now it's gone. It went out to the ocean. Yep. Tom says she has a sweet little face. Oh, thank you, Tom. Starlina? Hey, good morning. Oh, hello, Starlina. What a pretty name that is. Starlina, I like it. Joe says hi. So does Nature Dog Realm say hi. West Country also says hi to Starlina. That's a pretty name.
You want me to bring your broom up?
Not bark. Don't bark. Not bark. All right. Everyone says hi to Starlina. Welcome, young lady. Thank you for stopping and saying hello to us. We're here every morning at 8 a.m., just about every morning, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday. I like to have my tea, and I really like to sit and talk with you guys. So we're here almost every morning. We'll also come back at 2 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. We play Scrabble. And at 8 o'clock tonight, we do crossword puzzles, and I think we're also going to do some trivia today. So if you want to play some games with us, come on back this afternoon and tonight. All right, thank you, everybody. Shearbear says, hi, good morning, Starlina. Joe says, hello, West Country. Starlina says, thank you. Hey, everyone in the chat. Hi, Starlina. Welcome. Roll call. Cabin says, hi again. Kelly, hi, Cabin. How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. Lisa says, hello to Starlina. Sono says, hello to Starlina. Tom says, hey, roll call's Cabin. Cabin says, hey, Tom. Tom says, did you find Waldo? Yes, we did find Waldo. We're going to play that again, too, but not tonight. Maybe tomorrow. We did find Waldo. That was fun. Lisa says, party 70, thumbs up. 70, thank you, guys. Someone says, Tom, we sure did. Mom Dog's saying it's a party. Cabin says, hi, Nature. I wonder how Nature Guy is, you guys. Have you guys talked to Nature Guy? We saw him yesterday. It doesn't seem like he's doing very well. I'm concerned. Sonal says, Starlina subbed and left a comment. Thank you, Sonal. Tom says, thought he was slick by hiding by the corner. Right? Right on. Funny. It's funny. Nature says, I saw him yesterday. Yeah, I saw him yesterday too, but he didn't sound good. He said his AC broke, and it sounded like he was really struggling with the heat. So I was just concerned. Yeah, he was here yesterday too. I think he came in during crossword puzzles, maybe? Or did he come in during the Scrabble game? I forget. Shh, it's okay. Someone says, you're welcome, Starlina. Starlina, excuse me, Shibber says, not a good time for the AC to break. You got that right. He was in my live last night. Yeah, he was in the live here yesterday too, but he did not sound like he was doing well. So I wonder how Dundee's doing. Yeah, Dundee's another one I've been worried about as well. Hi. Got company. Ryan says, hey, Starlina, Nature's a Soul. So Dundee, I know yesterday he's saying. Yeah, I've seen Dundee too, but he's hiding it very well. I hope the situation gets better for him. So that's awesome. Heartless Highlander says, hey, Starlina. Maddie, how are you, buddy? Starlina says, hi, Ryan. Hi, Heartless. I wanted to make sure I say thanks to everybody for being here today for tea time on Tuesday. We will be back at 2 p.m. Eastern time with Scrabble. And we'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. with crossword puzzles. Daisy. Okay, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right. Sorry, guys. No. Oh, I love you. All right. Hi, Colleen. Did I miss Colleen come in? Friends of Dashers and More. There she is. Hi, Colleen. Colleen says, morning, everybody. Everybody say hi to Colleen, friend of Dashers and More. Nature Dog says, hi, Ryan. Maddie says, I'm good, Kelly. Thank you. Oh, good, Maddie. Good to see you, buddy. Daisy. No. No. It's okay. Come here. Come. I got Daisy right here, guys. Mom Dog says, hey, Share Bear. Cabin's using emojis. Thank you. Sonal says, I get nervous to sing on stream. Yeah, I would never do that. It's funny that some people... never mind. Doesn't matter. Someone says, your live was great last night. Beautiful area. Joe says, I can't wait for Scrabble and Puzzles. Thank you, Joe. Starlina says, I'll try to make it back at 8 p.m. What I wanted to say is some people should not be online singing. I heard some people in the last couple of days, and it's like, yeah, do they know what they sound like? But to each their own, right, everybody? Colleen says, hi, Mom Dog, morning. Ryan says, who's Colleen? Colleen is Friends of Dashers and More. Sonal says Thursday and Friday, I'm going to take it easy because we are going to have a storm. Oh, you're having a storm, Sonal? Uh-oh. Heartless Highlander says, hey, friends of Dashers and more. Nature says, Sonal, I do, yet I don't care. It's fun. I do, yet I don't care. It's fun. Sonal says, hello, Colleen. Colleen says, me, Ryan. I'm Colleen. Shearber says, good morning, Colleen. Nature Dog says, morning, Colleen. Sonal says, Nature Dog, I agree. Starlina says, good morning, Colleen. Friends of Dashers says, good morning, Sonal. Colleen says, hey, Nature Dog. Ryan says, I just subbed to your channel. Starlina, excuse me. Kevin says, hi, friends of Dashers. Sonal says, yes. This is the worst part because the storm makes me jump. Oh, put some music on. Lisa says, I sound like a hyena when I sing. You do? Hey, you know, singing in the car is way different than singing out there in the world. It's way different. But whatever anybody wants to do, that's their business. Starlina says, see you guys later. Nice meeting you all. Thank you, Starlina. Nice to meet you, too. Friends of Dashes and more. Colleen says, good morning, Starlina. I heard somebody singing yesterday, and I'm not going to say who it was, but she should not have been singing the song she was singing. That's all I can say. It was not good. Share versus Starlina, have a great day. Uncle Hairball says, that took longer than I thought. Had to evict a visitor from my shack. What kind of visitor? Like a raccoon? Like a raccoon? So as a Nature Dog, you and Daisy may have the great... No, I do not. I do not, Sonal. Ronnie's here. Ronnie said, hey, Ronnie, welcome. Lisa says, good morning, Colleen. Friends of Dashers says, morning, Kevin. Nature says, if people are having fun, I'm all about encouraging them to. Sure, absolutely. Absolutely have fun. I agree with that. Morning, Share Bear says, Colleen. Yep. Everybody's different, guys. Everybody's different. Everybody is different. And that's all it comes down to. What a boring place it would be if we're all the same, right? And it's entertaining and it's fun. Go for it, I say. Kevin says, I can sing, but only my ears can handle it. Right, Kevin? I need to pin that up because some people need to see that. Uncle Hairball says, like a 3-foot king snake. What? You had a 3-foot king snake? Oh, my goodness. Tom says, hey, Uncle Hairball. What? So you're saying you're doing a singing tea stream? No singing going on here, guys. No. Except for happy birthday. You know, we do sing happy birthday, but no. Thank you, Lisa. But not to sing? No, there's a difference, you guys. There's a difference. Thank you. That's so sweet of you guys. Those that sing, sing. Those that can't sing, hum. Right? That should be our new motto. Those who can sing, and those who can't sing can hum. That would be me. Colleen says, morning, the Heartless Highlander. Uncle Hairball says, hi, Tom. Tom says, LOL, roll calls. I have a singing voice for the deaf people. There you go, Tom. That's me, too. That's me, too, Tom. I like that. Yeah. Those that can sing, and those that can't sing can hum. And I'm one of those. I'm the latter. Right on. I get snakes in the shack a lot. I can't figure out how they get in. Ew. I don't know much about snakes. A king snake, is that a bad snake, Uncle? Sonos also hums. Yeah, right? We can hum. Exactly right. Lisa says, I can... Oh, I missed it, Lisa. I missed it, Lisa. All right, we're going to end the poll, guys, okay? We're going to end the poll. Let's end the poll. Did you play the games? Not yet, 71%. Get your butts over there sometime today. Yes, I did. Oh, thank you guys for doing it. Games? What games? 9%. Nature says, what one person likes, another might not, yet I would never hurt anyone. Whoops. Sorry. I would never hurt anyone if they're enjoying themselves. Absolutely, Nature Dog, right? Anybody, you can make fools of yourselves if you want to. You could have fun if you want to. You could sing as loud as you want to, as soft as you want to, as off-key as you want to, as beautiful as you want to. It's your choice. It's your life. And also, You do whatever you want. I agree, Nature Dog. As long as they're having fun, who cares? Someone says, excuse my typo. Tom says, ma'am, you have a soothing, beautiful voice and great way of speaking. Thank you, Tom. Hairball says, king snakes aren't venomous or aggressive. I just pick them up and carry them back outside. Oh, I don't like snakes at all, Hairball, at all. Lisa says, I can sing in the bathroom. I sing in in the shower, you mean? Yeah. I sing in the car. I sing in the house. You know, I love music. I've always loved music and songs you could sing to. And I do it in my own home, and I would never, ever want somebody to hear that, ever, not in a million years. Tom says, I would, Nature Dog, in a second. Be mean to my wife, and you'll see a very ugly side of me. There you go, Tasso. Or Tom. Yeah, you're right, Tom. I can lip sync my favorite song. There you go. You can lip sync. There you go. Absolutely. It's all about what you want to do in your life. And nobody can say it's wrong. Nobody can say it's right or wrong. And that's it. This is a free country. You can do those things if you want to. Lisa says shower, especially the toilet. Lisa. You sing in the shower, and especially the toilet. I don't know. You guys are hilarious. Mom Dog says, LOL, Lisa, right? LOL. Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to go have some breakfast. Plenty of snakes around here, probably why I don't get mice in the house. Mice. They do eat the mice, that's true. But then you have snakes. Made you laugh. You sure did, Lisa. That was good. Sherpa says, Uncle, where are you? Someone says, Daisy, I did a live stream and my camera is blurry. Don't know why it does that. Yeah, I don't know, Sonal, either. It happens to me a lot when we're doing like crossword puzzles. Like it's trying to focus. It like focuses. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Peter Pan says, take care, you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you later. Izzy Pop. Hey, Izzy. Great morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Go out. Have a wonderful day. Do your singing. Do your walking. Do your plays. Do whatever you want. Do what makes you fun. Go for a bike ride. Take a walk. Go to the park. Go to the beach. Go swimming. Stay inside with the air conditioning. Watch a movie. Read a book. Do whatever you want. It's your life, all right? And enjoy it. Like nature says, enjoy it. As long as you're having fun, it's all that matters. What other people say and think does not matter. Just enjoy yourselves. All right? Mom Dog, have a great day. Go forth and be kind. There you go, Mom Dog. Let's put that up before we go. Right on, Molly. Shearbear says, good morning, Izzy. Ryan says, hi, Izzy. Shearbear says, love you all. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Shearbear. You too. Uncle Hairball says, Shearball, I'm a bit south of Greenwood, South Carolina. Shearbear. Cabin says, Daisy, you have a great day today. Thank you, Roll Calls Cabin. You too. Sono says, hello, Izzy. Izzy says, hey, Shearbear and Ryan. Shearbear says, Uncle Hairball, snakes are scary stuff. Someone says, wow, 72 likes. What? Thank you, guys. Roll Calls Cabin says, take care, everyone. Have a great day. Yes, have a great day, everybody. Izzy Pop says, hey, Freedom. Uncle Hairball says, Daisy May, thank you. Thank you, Uncle Hairball. Shiver, sending love. Sono, sending emojis. Thank you. Nature Dog says, some people have very cruel personalities. I pray for them. I do, too. I pray for them because so many people, let's not get into it. Karma. That's all I can say, everybody. Karma comes around and helps everybody even it all out. Lisa says, take care, everyone. Enjoy your day and keep smiling. Thank you, Lisa. You too. Shiver sending emojis. Sono sending love emojis. Shiver sending emojis. Lisa sending emojis. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to say goodbye. We'll be back 2 o'clock or so. Sorry about that. They're working down the hallway. We'll be back for Scrabble this afternoon. And we'll be back with crossword puzzles tonight, all right? Thank you, everybody. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Hairball, karma is a cold-hearted... You're right, it is. I have 2 squirrels arguing, says Lisa. We're going to pin it, Uncle Hairball, real quickly before we go, because it sure is. You know, you do people dirty and you do people wrong, and the universe, it turns it around for you. Put it out there? Absolutely. Oops, I realized I already played the games and I said no in the poll. That's okay, Sonal, thank you. Nature Dog says, it's unclear. And it is, Uncle. It sure is. Karma is a you-know-what. All right, folks, we're taking off. Have some breakfast. spend some time with Daisy. I'm going to watch some videos and some live streams, and we'll see you this afternoon, all right? Have a great, wonderful day. I love you all so much. Thanks for being here with Tea Time. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. Take care.